But I think if you're smart and you're an augmentation evoker, you should have this sinking feeling that your spec might be about to be taken out back.
Oh no.
Hey guys, last video of the 3, this time all DPS. Don't want to hear it from any of you guys who are in chat complaining about healers and tanks talking. We gave you your own video, so I hope you like it. You know the deal. 10.2 information got announced, new class changes, tier sets. We're going to go over all that today with a bunch of people from the community, and also I handled a few of them, so hope you enjoy it. Time to call Azortharion. It is DPS time. Wee-oo, healer talk over. Calling up Azortharion. Hopefully he's still here. He said ready. All right, doing it, slamming it, doing it, slamming it. Hello?
Hello.
Oh, I can hear you pretty well. You're on Bart's laptop?
Yeah, I am. I borrowed a friend's mic.
Oh, cool. And they're not trolling you or anything?
They're quite far away, but maybe they'll try anyway. Who knows?
Okay. How's the villa?
Oh, it's amazing. It's pure luxury. One of the nicest places I've ever stayed in.
Oh, that's fucking awesome. All right, cool. Let's get right into it. I mean, you've been watching this, I think, so like you probably have an idea, but the idea is like, okay, you read these these patch notes the other day, and it's like generally how you're feeling about it. I think if you want to incorporate some things like, hey, as a hunter, it still feels really bad that all these classes bring all these things and we don't have fucking anything. And the only thing we had recently isn't even a root anymore. And now it kind of sucks. And like, all of that is valid. Probably won't spend like a ton of time on that. It's been talked about a ton, but I really want to get into some of the like cool changes I think happened to Hunter this patch. So we can kind of start wherever you want, but I'd love to start with BM.
Yeah, sure thing. That works for me. But like the first thing I'd written down, and as you said, I won't spend too much time on it. But it is something that's gonna affect like the final ranking of every hunter spec, which is that hunters are gonna suffer a lot in raids going forward with augmentation, because as it stands right now, and who knows how it'll be, you're gonna have 4 augmentation evokers in really good raid comps, and that leaves almost no room for a hunter, like maybe one flex spot. But unless hunter damage is something like high A or S tier, you're better off just bringing, you know, a second one of something else, like a Shadow Priest, because PI is good with augmentation, for example.
Or other things.
So if there's
like,
anything hunter...
Yeah, like I think specifically...
Yeah, of course, just an example.
Well, I mean, even more as an example, though, like it's always been Hunter's been needing to be like top tier damage. But here's the issue with Hunter. It's not even just specifically that they don't have a raid buff. It is that bringing a first or second Hunter is so much less valuable at potentially the same damage than bringing a second druid, especially now with Innervate being more real, with mana being a little bit more relevant, especially as a second warrior bringing Rallying Cry, bringing another evoker from all of the utility that they bring, right? Like hunters have, I don't know if they have to be next in line to be reworked like offensively. Like I don't know how, I think some of their specs at least play pretty well regardless of their power level, but they absolutely
some problems, but
they need, like, absolutely need something to bring to the game. It's so weird that they don't, and like every other class does. So yeah, I think you're exactly right in pointing that out.
And as you say, there are multiple ways to solve it. One is like a mandatory raid buff, because that at least secures one hunter in the raid, right? But it's not the only way to solve it. I think it might be the best way to solve it, because it cannot fail. Like, let's say a hunter gets 5% crit or whatever. Like, you will always bring at least one.
Yep.
And then, you know, if it's also good in offensively, then you might bring 2. But it would be nice to just have a raid spot as a hunter, just like a mage has, just like a warlock has, just like pretty much every other class has.
Well, I mean, the
so
thing
at the very
is,
top of any hunter's...
I even think it's more than what you're saying, though. Like, you're saying, like, at least have the raid buff, but that's the sad thing, is even that... Think about how that pales in comparison. Okay, you bring one hunter for a crit buff and you bring another if they're strong. But what happens if all these other classes are strong and bring more? Like, oh, do I want to bring a second hunter, or do I want to bring a mage with 5 defensive cooldowns, a cheat death, and mass barrier? Or do I want to bring, you know, Zephyr Obsidian Scales that hits other people in the raid and gives them health and stuff like that? Like, there's just... There's like multiple things missing from making hunters a realistic choice without them having to fight an uphill battle of just needing to randomly RNG dice roll, do more damage than everyone else, which there's 38 specs in the game. It's really unlikely that that's you every patch. So like, yeah, it's super bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, you make a fair point there. I guess it's just from being shafted for like a decade. I'm not optimistic enough to hope for both like a raid buff and like good utility, whether that's... I mean, it could be so many things. I feel like, you know, several of augmentation evokers utility things could be hunter things, like a time spiral or the equivalent, like a little bit like aspect of the fox. There are many things that could be done like that. Maybe thematically, it's not going to be something like a raid cooldown, like anti-magic MS and stuff makes sense for DKs. maybe I can't, but Sentinel Owl doesn't have to be terrible either. Like
Yeah.
it's like an insult of a attempt at a
Half-baked
raid
idea.
cooldown. Yeah. So, but yeah, didn't want to spend too much time on that. I want to hop into a BM, as you said. First of all, just want to give a shout out to Talo, who helped me draft some of the notes here and has done some of the cooking on
Yeah,
BM
sure. Yeah.
going into patch 10.2.
I mean, BMs, these changes are
Right,
fucking
so
awesome,
overall,
right? I think these are great.
Yeah. Broadly, I mean, you're basically, put the words in my mouth there. BM, the tier set is really, really good, and it's not just good numerically. We think it's also really good thematically, because what everyone who plays BM likes, pretty much, is the idea of having pets and having ideally a lot of them and having them be strong. And finally, we're getting a tier bonus that leans into that. You're going to be spawning all these die beasts, and they're actually not just going to be auto attack bots anymore. They're going to be, with the 4-piece, they're actually going to use your kill command, which is your main sort of nuke ability, and they're going to beast cleave, which is your main AoE ability. This is all great. So one of the best tier set bonuses in a while. The 2-set bonus is pretty boring on its own, but the design they seem to be going for is generally that the 2-set bonus kind of feeds the 4-set bonus. It's not like you're ever going to be just having 2-set for a long time. So I don't mind that 2-set is boring on its own. But yeah, so it's basically Sue builds, and you're going to have a powerful Sue, and that's
you have a
really good.
cooldown now,
and then there's
right?
also some talent changes.
Yeah, you have
What did you say?
For the first time ever, I was looking at some like damage graphs of BM, and usually it's like a straight line from the beginning to the end, but now there's some bumps in there. You have like have some cooldowns that do some damage.
Yeah, so since the beginning of Dragonflight, we've always had this 3-minute cooldown called Call of the Wild in our tree, but it's just been like it's been bugged because its damage is getting reduced by Animal Companion when it probably shouldn't. It's been buggy, it's been bad, it just hasn't been used, even though it's been there since day one. It's one of the least used talents ever. But now they're reducing its cooldown to just 2 minutes, and they're changing its choice node so that it actually looks like a potentially viable talent. And it might change BM from having this really flat damage profile into a potentially bursty one. And I think, most people prefer a bursty profile to a flat one.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
So aside from that being good now, there are 2 new talents, Savagery and Master Handler. So Savagery we like because, so it has a little problem. It's pretty strong, but so it says Barb Shot lasts 2 seconds longer, but that's not actually what it seems to be doing. It's increasing the duration of Frenzy, which if you've ever played BM Hunter, it's like the only thing you have to think about because it's a pretty easy spec. It's this buff you have to maintain. And that goes from 8 seconds to 10 seconds with this talent, and that's fine and all. But there's this other talent in our tree called Thrill of the Hunt, which has basically been, in effect, an amplification of the Frenzy buff. But it lasts 8 seconds. So now you have a mismatch of duration.
Oh, that's really bad.
And BM no longer is about maintaining Frenzy, because that is the longer duration one. Now you're going to changing all your Uyghurs or whatever to be tracking and maintaining Thrill of the Hunt. I mean, in effect, that just means nothing changes, but I don't think it's intended
janky. It's janky
for one.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's janky, and like it doesn't make sense for like a new player. Like, why am I playing around this talent when, like even if you check sort of, if you mouse over Barb Shot, like it's a complete new player who's just like picking up BM, like this makes no sense at all. I think it would be nice that they extended Thrill of the Hunt to also be 10 seconds. The problem with that is then it just becomes trivial to maintain, and you basically just press it on cooldown because it's impossible to fuck up. I don't know what the solution is there, but I think you should be playing around Frenzy and not Thrill of the Hunt. I don't think they should have different durations.
Okay. All right.
So that's the thing about Savagery. Master Handler is cool. So each time Barb Shot deals damage, the cooldown of Kill Command is reduced by 0.5 seconds. Barb Shot is this dot you pretty much have up all the time. Kill Command is your main nuke. It has a basically cooldown limited. So up until this point on AoE and stuff, it has been worth multi-dotting Barb Shot, but it's been like a pretty advanced thing for a small increase.
Oh, cool.
But now,
that's
like,
really good. So
BM is going to be actively
man.
caring about multi-dotting Barb Shot to get this Kill Command cooldown reduction. So that means a little bit of funnel, and it just means, another layer of depth to
Bro,
the AoE
that's
rotation.
fucking goated.
Big fan of this.
That's like my favorite. I think that might be I didn't even read that. That might be my favorite change. That alone adds so much depth to BM. And there's also, there's very few classes in the game that still possess the niche of becoming significantly better with more targets, whether they are spread out or stacked, and BM would join that small group of classes. That's actually really important.
So this is all good. So further down, we have some of our 3-point talents have been turned into 2-rank talents. And that obviously just means we have more talents to throw around, which means more build flexibility.
How many
and this is,
free new
pretty
talents
much...
do you have? So with all of the things included that have been like included in talents, how many spec tree points are you gaining? Is it 2?
We're essentially gaining, it's 2.
That's still good.
2 that you can throw around. It's still pretty good. I mean, so another issue BM deals with a lot is it loses a ton of single target to do any AoE. And so the problem is, like, the best way to play Mythic Sark on Prog is probably just to play full single target. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but then even when you do that as BM, you're still going to be 20% behind, the good specs that also cleave while they do 20% more single target.
True.
So that just feels bad. And so while this is a good change, we do wish that it was cheaper to get into AoE. So Beast Cleave is a 2-pointer talent. We wish that was 1 talent. And we also wish that a multi-shot, which is a prerequisite for Beast Cleave, was either baked in or, just baked in or something. So 2 points are nice, but honestly, we would really like 4 because it's way too costly to play AoE as BM right now. And it's really fucking us up in a raid environment where usually, you want a little bit of cleave ability, but it's usually single target that kills the boss.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Yeah. All right, cool.
And then I just wanted to quickly highlight that there are a lot of bugs with going on with BM on the PTR right now. They will be up in the bug tracker. This is sort of like shout out to Blizzard. Check the bug tracker. Please fix these things before 10.2. And another thing for people raid testing with BM in the coming weeks, there is a bug right now that makes BM do like obscene amounts of damage, like way more than it really should on PTR. So while BM is good, it is not that good.
That, dude, you know what you just reminded me of, and I don't know why this left my memory, but when I randomly watch, most good guilds don't stream their raid testing. I think the best guild who streams their raid testing is Instant Dollars off the top of my head. But if you watch most people, they have it's mostly a pug or it's a few people from different guilds coming in at vastly different skill levels. And I always find it so funny to read chat when I'm just looking at what other guilds tried. And someone on one poll, some random person, probably the best person in that guild, but they play just a weird class, they'll do a bunch of damage, or an unholy DK will burst on the pole and they'll wipe in the first minute. And then people in chat unironically are always like, oh my god, DK is so strong right now. And then so it'll be the same thing with Hunter. Hunter will literally be bugged and doing way extra damage, and people just be like, yo, Hunter's so good right now.
Yeah, and I'm concerned about that because, I hope Blizzard is sensitive to that and does not get led astray by such things, that they don't overnerf it based on something silly like that.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah. But for the tier list, because we do have to make content here, I would put, so it's kind of it's a bit of a dichotomy. So if a Hunter had a mandatory raid buff that secured them a raid spot, then BM would just be feeling good. But because I'm predicting some nerfs to this, and because I think that if Hunter is not high A or S tier on pure damage, it won't get a raid spot in the current paradigm.
Anyway, yeah.
I think it's gonna end up being more good changes instead.
I think you're exactly right. I think if you're a Hunter, I'm urging most classes to kind of just take the patch at face value and just talk just about the changes. But I think it is impossible as a Hunter to look past the fact that you have this giant glaring problem in the game, being the only class that is bringing literally nothing to a raid other than damage. And until that is changed, even if you get the best changes in the world, you can't be feeling real good, because that is just so much more important than everything else. So
yeah, it's always hanging about, because so most other specs, if they're feeling real good, they're really feeling good. But with BM and Hunter in general, there's always that caveat. It's okay, yeah, but are we gonna be S tier, or are we just gonna be good? Because good is not good enough to a raid spot for Hunters, unfortunately.
Correct. And also, it's not even just a raid spot. I feel like a lot of people talk and it is more apparent in raids, because it's why would I bring this thing? But even the raid utility you bring is relevant in dungeons. Mark of the Wild matters in dungeons. The Evoker utility matters in dungeons. Fixing that problem in raid would more consistently make Hunters an actual realistic option in high and mid-tier Mythic Plus over other classes, because right now, just like raid,
very true,
they're not bringing something. You're losing Arcane Intellect from not bringing a Mage, or you're bringing whatever. There's so many things working against Hunters that it needs to be addressed for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing up the Mythic Plus example, because the raw DPS value of something like Mark of the Wild, it cannot be understated. Even when BM can do, or Survival or whatever, can do good DPS in a dungeon, maybe beat a meta spec, once you correct for the fact that 3% of its damage actually belongs to the Druid, and maybe 5% of its damage belongs to the fucking Vengeance Demon Hunter or Brewmaster Monk tank, right? Because of their debuffs and everything. Then suddenly Hunter is not so good looking anymore.
Or
And it
the
brings no
amount of
utility.
damage that Power Infusion is giving them, or the amount of the
yeah.
amount of like group things. Like forget like Aug is its own thing, but even like imagine what a mage brings over a hunter in higher keys just from mass barriering some raid damage thing over what hunter can do, which is nothing, right? Like at every level they're just disadvantaged. Yeah, so
and in a Mythic Plus context, like, you know, giving the healer intellect, just like that is also a pretty big deal in some cases, right? So yeah, it has like it's very hard to talk about Hunter in isolation without mentioning the utility and raid buff problem. But now I feel I've gotten that rant out of the way. Do you want to move on to MM?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do MM. I believe it's less positive here, right?
That's pretty much true. So MM, they're basically okay. So the positive thing is that they're fixing the problem with MM right now, which is that it's like probably the most RNG spec in the game's history. Don't fact check that, but it's gotta be up there.
Yeah, it's way up there.
It's really like pure gambling, casino, whatever. They actually put a pretty elegant fix for that in. I don't know how that will turn out in the numbers, and I am concerned that it's going to be a big hit to MM numbers. So, you know, I'd urge Blizzard to be, you know, on top of the actual damage it's doing, because MM, more so than the other Hunter specs, brings nothing but damage. It has, you know, the least utility insofar as Hunter has utility at all, and the least defensive kit options. Like it's just missing a significant amount of max health compared to the other two specs, for example.
Yeah, which doesn't make sense. Yeah,
but,
and that is something with MM too. So this change, you feel like you're going to lose a lot of damage, but I think the concept is good.
Yeah.
Right. It's just making it consistent, and the extension of True Shot is also really interesting.
Yeah. So like I'm not such a big fan of like long cooldowns, because usually a cooldown period in like Mythic Plus, like it doesn't last much longer than 20-25 seconds. So let's say we could have 40-second true shots. It would be good on patchwork, but I feel like on sort of difference-making moments in fights, it's not that good. I would prefer a stronger true shot instead of a longer one. But that might just be my subjective opinion.
Yeah.
Like, let's say they were equal DPS, I'd rather have the shorter, stronger one than the longer one.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going on to the set bonuses, they are pretty boring, and they're very AoE oriented. So the two set bonuses is Rapid Fire launches a volley at the target. So volley is this AoE talent we have that applies trick shots to you. So basically, Rapid Fire gives you trick shots for 2 seconds, is like implied in this. And volley is like a thing that just hits the boss or whatever a lot of times over, in this case, 2 seconds. Boring on its own, but then it feeds into the 4 set bonus, which is Legacy of the Windrunner. Okay, so that is a talent that makes your aim shots fire these wind arrows. And until now, these wind arrows have been what's proccing True Shot procs. Now it's going to proc this thing that extends your next True Shot, which is an improvement because it's not so RNG. But the idea here is basically, okay, so when volley does damage, you get wind arrows, which will extend your next True Shot. But the amount of ticks that you get out of volley is highly target count dependent. So this set bonus is basically complete garbage on single target and potentially quite good on like sustained AoE. But how often do you get sustained AoE?
Yeah, very unlikely. Yeah, just like 4 to 5.
Yeah, so this stuff, you know, and even in Mythic Plus, like it's just a little bit underwhelming. It's too AoE heavy. Like the last tier set bonus was pretty much the worst in the game. This doesn't seem like it'll be much better. The previous one was more single target oriented, and you know, at least MM has decent single target in the current tier. But like now, with the RNG change and this very AoE centric set bonus, like I'm concerned that MM single target and raid viability will just be in the fucking dumpster.
So not feeling very good.
It has the same problem as BM, where it loses a ton of single target DPS to do AoE. They partly fixed that for BM by giving it essentially 2 talent points, but it's still the case that just to get your basic AoE kit rolling for MM, you have to invest like 3 or 4 talent points depending on where you draw the line. So it loses 15% single target to do any form of AoE, and that's too much, because just like for BM, the best way to play MM on like a sort of mixed single target and AoE fight like Echo or Sark is to play full single target. And if you did top single target, that would be great, but then you end up doing 20% less than the demo lock and Unholy DK, while doing an infinity percent less AoE damage as well.
Okay. So are you
with
feeling
that in mind, I have to put
absolutely fucked? Is that where you're thinking?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking for MM. And honestly, if there was a lower tier, I would probably put it there because like it's even hard to fix this set bonus. Like they'll basically have to overtune the fuck out of MM's abilities, like give it the biggest aura buff just to make it viable in raid. Like that's my honest non-cope, non-fishing for buffs take.
Okay. All right, and then we have everyone's favorite redheaded stepchild spec survival. Okay, I know nothing about survival, just like everyone else, but I like it's these wildfire bombs change seem good. Am I wrong?
Yeah. So broadly, the change is good. It will make the current set bonus like almost worthless, like really, really weak. But that's sort of a temporary problem. It's gonna feel bad if you're playing a survival hunter now and sort of gearing it up, because like you get your tier and it's not exciting at all because they took the tier effect and baked it in and then didn't like update or the tier set in other ways. So, but you know, we're talking about 10.2. That's a pretty temporary problem. Whatever. So for the set bonuses, it's very oriented towards a Fury of the Eagle, which is this 45-second cooldown we have in our tree that is normally used for like Mythic Plus. It's a really cool, like I think 3 or 4 second channel that does a ton of AoE damage, and it reduces the cooldown of your bomb, which is your other main AoE ability. So everyone likes Fury of the Eagle, and the set bonuses are making it a more important and valuable amp spell that will also be worth using on single target. So we're broadly happy with both the 2 and 4-piece bonus, but there are a few problems here, like once you get into the details.
Okay.
So the main thing is that the 4-set bonus has this like bomb recharge mechanic. Like basically you press it and you get a charge of wildfire bomb. The problem is that in the survival tree just below Fury of the Eagle, there's this other talent called Ruthless Marauder, which makes your Fury of the Eagle ticks reduce the cooldown of wildfire bomb. So this completely conflicts with the set bonus because you're going to be pressing Fury of the Eagle and instantly you're just going to overcap your bomb. And it's a 4-second channel. It feels terrible.
I hate that. I hate that. I hate that. That is my
Yeah.
biggest pet peeve in any WoW class is when a cooldown, whether it's good intentioned or not, makes you cap on a resource that you want to keep off cooldown or keep your charges rolling on it. That is like the worst feeling ever. I hate that.
Because it's going to feel intuitive to want to cancel Fury of the Eagle to get away from that.
Oh,
You don't want
no
to do
way.
that, but like it just feels bad. It's going to make your, like they're trying to make Fury of the Eagle feel awesome, and instead you have this thing that makes it feel really terrible. Luckily, I think the fix is simple, which is that it just needs to make the next wildfire bomb not consume a charge instead of giving you a charge.
Okay.
That has to be a pretty easy fix to this problem, and I think it will go a long way to fixing this issue.
All right, cool. All right. How are you
another
feeling about survival?
small thing is
you can keep going.
Yeah, sure. It won't be long. So it also says that it increases the damage Wildfire Bomb deals to your primary target for 12 seconds.
Yeah.
But the problem is that effect does not refresh on every tick of Fury of the Eagle, which is a really slow channel. So by the time the channel ends, you've already wasted, 25% of the duration of this buff. Meanwhile, so from the 2-piece, the 12-second buff you get from that to critical strike chance and damage dealt, that refreshes on each tick. So I would like to bring Blizzard's attention to it would be nice if the 4-piece buff that increases Wildfire Bomb would refresh on every tick of Fury of the Eagle.
All right, yeah. It seems like it would be intended to.
No. Exactly. All right. So then more broadly about survival, you've alluded, like you said it yourself at the start of this conversation, you said it at the start of your stream, like who really knows what survival does? And you even mentioned survival in the context of the Mistweaver discussion, which is basically like it feels like survival since it became melee has been an afterthought to Blizzard. It has had like 1.5 good seasons / tiers, and that was basically Shadowlands Season 3 where it was really good, and then Shadowlands Season 4 where it was quite good as well. But before and after that, survival is pretty much a dead spec. Like it feels like a failed experiment, and it doesn't feel like they're really trying to make it good. You brought it up with Mistweavers, like what is the best way to solve this issue? Like the survival needs to be broken OP for a tier or two. Tell people that the survival won't give you AIDS if you play it. But of course, that's even harder to justify because there's the raid buff / utility problem, but there's also the problem of melee spots being more tightly competed for than range spots. So survival is just in the worst of all worlds here. I'm not saying I know the solution, but it like widely felt in the community that survival is an afterthought, and like you said, redheaded stepchild. It would be nice if survival brought something totally unique that would make it competitive in the melee camp, because it cannot compete in the same way. But it doesn't compete for the same spot necessarily that BMM MM do. Or maybe they just need to over-tune the shit out of it. But apparently for longer, because Shadowlands was not enough. Even when survival is decent, just like Mistweaver, it's super underplayed. Even though like you can't find a lot of people who think that survival is not fun to play. It's a little bit complicated, more so than maybe the average spec, but it's not that hard, and it's quite fun and rewarding once you get to it. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I mean, do you feel like they got fucked by this, or do you think that these changes were probably good for them because of the like obviously there's some bugs with the tier and that you wish the 4-piece refresh, but like I'm assuming the wildfire bomb changes were good, right?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so this is once again, I'm gonna put it in feels bad, but I would put it in good changes if it wasn't for the raid buff problem and the utility problem, especially of survival in melee camp. If you feel it should average out to A, I'm not going to be upset about that, but my personal opinion is that it belongs in feels bad.
You have the choice. Yeah, I think it like knocks BM down 1 tier, knocks MM down 1 tier because of that, but it knocks survival down 2 because you're fighting against melee spots that all bring raid buffs specifically, and you're fighting against the augmentation filling the raid spots problem and the no dungeon utility thing. So yeah, definitely agree. Yeah,
exactly.
That's fine. All right, thanks for the call,
man. And because I forgot earlier, I just wanted just one thing. I just wanted to give a shout out to Thymond, who helped me a lot with the notes for survival. And yeah, but thank you very much for inviting me as always. It's always a pleasure, and enjoy the rest of your stream.
Yeah, thanks, man. Enjoy your time in Portugal.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
All right, see ya. All right, talking to Critcake. He's a warrior streamer, Mythic Plus raidman. All right, calling him up. What's up, man? I haven't talked to you in a while. How you doing?
Yeah, all good. All good.
All good. All right, so warriors are also kind of a weird spot. Like, I just got done talking to Azur about hunters, but I feel like warriors are also like warriors have rally and they have a raid buff. But do you feel at all that they still maybe feel lacking in utility compared to some other classes, especially when it comes to like Mythic Plus affixes and stuff? How do you feel about that?
For sure in Mythic Plus, yeah. Like having easier access to an AoE stop would go a long way for warrior. A lot of people want something like Bloodlust, which would, be fitting for warrior thematically, I think. But I don't think that's what warriors really need. I think we do need an AoE stop of some sort, or something to help our team with.
We actually don't have any class changes for you. I think it's just tier bonuses. But before we get into the tier bonuses, are you happy with Arms and Fury right now, or do you think that those specs need changes in any fundamental way?
I think Arms has had issues the entire expansion, actually. We really struggle with our rage economy. Spending rage is a big problem right now because we press a lot of abilities that don't spend rage, but they are also the biggest hitters. And we also have Testamite on top of that. So we want to be spending rage, but we just can't. The reason for that really is just we don't have a good spender, a spammable spender. So we rely on things like Thunderclap, which spend a lot of rage, big whirlwinds, and in Execute, actually, our rage economy feels good.
Okay, and then this is looks like this thing's like a little bit execute focused. How do you feel about the arms bonus? I know it's a little bugged right now. I believe Thunderclap goes on cooldown when it gets triggered by the 4-piece, and I think it also doesn't spread rend, right? Either?
Correct. Yeah. So what's weird about that one actually is the Thunderclap obviously happens. You don't get rend on 5 targets, but it still benefits from the rend spread talent. The rend spread talent is called Blood and Thunder. It increases your Thunderclap damage by 10% and also applies rend to 5 targets.
It's getting the
benefit
damage
from
bonus?
the 10%. It's getting the 10% damage bonus, but it's not getting the rend.
Okay,
spread.
well at least that's...
So it's like half of it.
Yeah, at least it's like proof of concept that it's clearly supposed to work with that talent. So at least, that's something would largely most likely get fixed. So
yeah.
How do you feel about this if the text on the screen is not bugged at all and works exactly as it's supposed to for Arms Warrior?
I think it's kind of boring, but it's good. So design-wise, it doesn't really change that much for Arms. In fact, it might add Skull Splitter, which will make the rotation more confusing overall. But the numbers, they seem pretty good. Probably slightly better than our current set, which is mediocre/underwhelming. I guess that's a small W.
Okay. Do you have any other thoughts about Arms? But actually, wait, we can probably... Do you want to just go ahead and rate Arms on how you're feeling based on losing your current tier and getting this new one? Or do you have anything else about it that you think is important?
I got more bugs.
Oh, let's get it.
The 2-piece proc rate, it is separate to a normal sudden death.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that means that you can get a normal sudden death, but before you can use that sudden death, your rend will proc another sudden death and overwrite it.
This is really... Doesn't this also this set bonus give warriors kind of a bit of funnel as well?
Yeah, it should. It depends if it's hard sort of RPPM.
It's probably it depends on how it procs, and it also depends on. It's probably a specific scenario where you are fighting a boss on top of mobs being alive for a long time, not in like a short span, and that's like pretty uncommon. But yeah, okay. So that is there. You said there's more bugs as well.
Yeah. So there's this thing with execute. It's been plaguing us for a while, but there's a slight delay from the moment you cast execute to the point where it does damage. So you cast execute, and about 0.25 seconds later, the damage is done. I actually noticed yesterday when I was trying this, I cast execute. In that 0.25 second window, sudden death procced. That sudden death got consumed, but it didn't apply the bleed from the force set.
Okay. So so they could almost fix two things with one. You could fix that problem by fixing execute being delayed in general, and it would just solve multiple things at the same time. All right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So it's really annoying actually, that bug, because if the target goes out of line of sight or goes behind you or goes out of range before the damage lands, nothing happens. Your sudden death or rage gets consumed.
Big problem.
Yeah. It's very frustrating.
Is that the end of the bugs?
One more. So the force set, it says execute applies a bleed that deals 50% of the damage of execute, but it's 35%. I don't know why. The only reason we can think of is that it's being reduced by armor, even though it's a bleed, because the math checks out.
Yeah.
If so.
Okay. Hell yeah. All right. So this thing's bugged all hell, but the idea is cool. Well, the idea is boring, but it's big damn. So.
Also, if you get two sudden death procs within 5 seconds of each other, the second execute will overwrite the execute.
Okay, so
bleed.
just this thing just doesn't work at all then. Just the whole set is that's good.
But yes, also this set will also make Testamite feel even worse, because we'll get more sudden death procs. Sudden death makes execute free.
Yeah, so it doesn't spend rage. So all things like that in the game should always work in the correct way, which is if you have something that reduces the cost of something that would cost a resource to 0, you should still get credit in all of those talents for having spent that rage, or else it just makes all of those talents feel like shit. So that would be a good change.
Yeah, for sure. I think that would be a really good change if it benefited anger management and Testamite, even though it spent no rage.
All right.
So all those bugs aside, if they can fix them, I still think the tier is kind of But if they don't fix them, then it definitely feels bad.
Do you feel bad losing your current tier?
Current tier doesn't do much, so no.
So you probably are just kind of just happy with the changes then, because the main change that's happening to you is you're losing the old set and gaining a new, probably slightly better one. But I guess that's just you're not super happy.
Yeah, exactly. So it's more I think. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, what about Fury?
So Fury, so then we're getting another Bloodthirst tier set bonus. We're already playing a Bloodthirst set in Abyss.
And you hate Bloodthirst, right? You hate pressing that button?
Yeah, it's not that good, is it? It doesn't feel good. But yeah, I'm sure they made a Bloodthirst tier set bonus last year because nobody played it. But they're doing it again now, which just feels weird. Would have liked something different. But the root of this issue really is that the left side of our talent tree for warriors, which is where Bloodthirst is, the Bloodthirst boosting stuff is, it's just really weak. Like, Bloodthirst is only really worth pressing when these tier set bonuses are buffing Bloodthirst by 200 to 300%. I think that's the problem with Bloodthirst itself.
Yeah, we talked about this last time with tier, that it seems like they're band-aid fixing the problem of Bloodthirst not being good enough by doing tier bonuses, but then you're just invalidating half of your class tree that you would never select otherwise. And until they fix that problem natively by fixing it via the spec tree or just by buffing the actual ability or changing the way you use it rotationally, you're doomed to make Bloodthirst sets for the rest of time. So it's just kind of down bad. You just need they just need to fix it alone.
Also, because of this force set, and if Bloodthirst spam becomes worthwhile, then we'd pay a spec that reduces Bloodthirst cooldown, and also Reckless Abandon, which would also help reduce the cooldown, so you could use it every DCD. This could very quickly devolve into BT, 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 Rampage, BT, 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 Rampage repeats infinitely.
That's not good. How do you feel about Odin's Fury being used rotationally?
It's fine. We could either fit Odin's Fury into the current meta build, and it would play all right, or we could go the other route that I just mentioned, which I really don't want. I don't know. I think that would get old really fast and probably kill Fury for me.
You're not feeling good as a Fury Warrior then?
No.
Are you feeling...
I do love Odin's Fury, by the way. It's a cool ability. Thematically, it's really cool, and it does big burst, and it's from Legion, but it's not the same.
You're feeling bad, or are you feeling fucking real bad?
I think bottom of feels bad.
Bottom of feels bad. Got it.
I think the damage also probably isn't that good from this. Obviously, we can't confirm this because we haven't got sims to back it up yet. Yeah, and also there's a bug. Surprise, surprise. The Odin's Fury triggered by Titan's Torment, the talent that makes it so that when you cast Avatar, you also cast Odin's Fury. It doesn't give you the 3 stacks of Bloodthirst from 2 set.
Okay. So that needs to work retroactively. Got it.
And for some reason, the 4 set and 2 sets both have 1 second ICDs, meaning if your global cooldown is lower than 1 second.
Oh wow. So if you press Bloodthirst twice in a row with your
and both
GCD
of them crits.
and both of them crit, you won't get the reduction on the second Bloodthirst?
Yes. Yeah, and it's the same for the 2 sets. The next 3 Bloodthirst, right?
Yeah.
I believe, I might be wrong here, but I believe that it doesn't consume a stack, but it still benefits from 1.
Oh, that's bugged in a good way.
Back to back.
Good bug.
Yeah, so that's bugged in a good way, but yeah, it's a
Love
mess.
a good bug.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right, that sounds good. All right, thanks for the call, man. Shout out Warriors.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. See ya.
All right, see ya.
All right, let's do DK. How you doing, man? It's been a while.
Good. How about you?
I am doing super well. I am also very much looking forward to DK in the patch. It's a very good time. I think it's been overall a very good expansion to be a Death Knight so far. They've just been like good the whole time.
Yeah, honestly, like tuning's been good. The DK dev has been making awesome changes. Like honestly, going into like just before 10.2 patch notes released, I was dooming hard on Unholy because like they buffed the wrong thing and the entire spec could just like fall apart. But they hit all the right spots and it's insanely good.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they've been insanely good in raid. Yeah, I would say good overall because they've been insanely good in raid. Actually, they're not even bad at Mythic Plus. It's just that you could feel negatively about Mythic Plus as a DK. Like I think Unholy's profile for Mythic Plus is actually really good. It's just that you probably don't get a lot of playtime just because of the current meta thing, but you could also say that about like almost every spec in the game. So
yeah, Unholy's strengths, so the current dungeons don't really play to them. If there was a dungeon that really like, played to Unholy's strengths, it would be insanely good.
Yeah.
So it just is what it is.
Yeah, and weirdly, like even if Unholy was going to do the same amount of damage as like a mage, right? You would just not have like I guess Mass Barrier and AMZ are like pretty similar value in a lot of situations. I don't know, you're not bringing a raid buff. You're bringing grips, which are good, but like that's different than bringing Fort. That's different than bringing Mark of the Wild. Just DKs probably have a little bit more going for them than things like Hunters because you just always need a grip and a raid tier at some point, so you gear them anyway, but definitely another class that just feels like they could use a little something to make them feel more valuable to groups in general. Do you think that's true?
Oh, absolutely. Like an example I used earlier, like Blizzard likes to think that grips are just like so insanely OP, right? And they just make or break DK. But let's take a look at Blood for a second. They have Gorfian's Grasp in their class tree, and they have not talented that once this entire expansion. If it's so OP, you'd expect them to do that, right? So like, I don't really get Blizzard's stance on Death Grip is all we need. What obviously it just needs a little bit more.
Yeah, and they try to give you a little bit more, but then it's like this attack speed reduction thing, which is also in the capstone level of your tree, and like you're not picking that. It's not really strong enough. And it's weird too. Like people try to equate it to like, oh, well, I mean, if you're running one in the raid because you need it for this certain fight, it's just like having Fort or anything else in the raid. Well, it's like, well, it would be like having Fort if Fort didn't work on like 8 of the 10 fights. You know, like that's not exactly how that works. And like some dungeons, grips can be really good, but in others, it doesn't really do a lot. Like I don't think Unholy or just DK in general needs a ton. I think Blood's problem as well is I think they're the only tank that doesn't have a raid buff actually. DPS DK just has like such good value between both of those specs, which definitely I think is really going to be interesting to talk about these changes. But you know, it's always kind of hanging on by a thread. A whole expansion could go by, and without the raid buff thing fixed, you could just end up not using them based on the amount of grip fights and stuff. So weird spot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's strange, but we'll see what they do in 11.0, you know?
All right, so this class has just been absolutely beating the shit out of bosses for a long time because turns out all damage profiles are good at their own thing, but it turns out doing all of your damage at one time with external buffs in this game is super fucking insane. And Blizzard's approach to that, like it or hate it, is not necessarily removing some of those external buffs. It is making classes like Unholy and Demo have their damage. Well, Demo's a separate story, but wanting to spread that damage out a little bit more over time while still making you feel like you have strong burst. I think conceptually with DK, I don't know what this will do with their numbers. I'm excited for you to tell me, but I like that because I think they in the past have kind of had that niche and it's worked well. The like we do a ton of damage every APOC. That is a time that is good to have cooldowns come back up, and having that window feel stronger is really, really good in my opinion. So I like that change as long as this makes their burst not feel like shit. Just give me a rundown of a lot of the Unholy changes and then also how you feel about it.
Okay, I'll spoil it right off the bat. These changes are great.
Okay, great.
So when it comes down to it, you look at the numbers, it's like Army of the Dead nerfed 25%, Gargoyle nerfed 30%, and people are probably looking at those and going, oh my god, Unholy's been utterly neutered. But it hasn't been at all. Its burst window went down by like 14%. It's really not bad at all. Went from like 500k burst to like 430k. Oh no, it's just the end of the world.
Yeah.
But it did buff those Apocalypse windows quite substantially. And then the tier set on top of it, making those Apocalypse windows even stronger and also longer with the Magus, is insanely good. Our 45-second windows now are just so potent compared to what they were before that it's just honestly all around a lovely change. Then we get into the standard rotational stuff like Death Coil, Scorch Strike, Festering Wound buffs. Those are kind of just like whatever, that they increase our baseline a little bit. It's a 9% bump to the baseline, like out of CD damage, which isn't bad.
I mean, that's not bad, but that number is at such a low baseline anyway. I actually think that is a little bit of an indictment of Holy over a long period of time, or Unholy over a long period of time, is that if you look at every class's like base rotation, right? Like I think one of the classes, regardless of its current power level and talent choices, Monk does this the best. Like outside of their cooldowns, the whole just rotation of things coming off cooldown and the reducing of them is like really, really fun. I think DKs is maybe the most boring in the game when you are not in CDs. The building up and bursting of wounds and the building up and spending of runic power is the most like basic, almost zero interaction, not fun thing. And like most, at least melee classes, I just feel like it's like completely non-interesting. And it's also almost never done any damage. Like popping a wound on single target is like the least impactful thing ever, and it has been forever.
Yeah.
So like they're buffing this so it feels a little bit better outside of it, but I do think that's a little bit of an indictment of Unholy, that has just always felt just really boring.
Yeah, and what I said, like, it's a 9% increase to our baseline out of cooldowns. That's like going from like 50,000 to like 54,000 DPS outside of cooldowns. We're like competing with like the worst tank damage outside of their cooldowns. It's still not good by any means.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly, the changes are really good. When it comes to the tuning of it all, too, they absolutely nailed it. I was shocked when I was running the numbers, and it's like Unholy went from like 135k average to the new distribution of damage. It's doing 136k on average with the same build. It's like, okay, how did they nail that so perfectly where they nerfed and buffed so many things, but the damage is still essentially the same? It's really, really good the way they managed to actually handle this. I'm pleasantly surprised, to say the very least.
Yeah, I think the DK, the main, all of the devs for classes collaborate, but the guy who mainly focuses on DK is a fucking beast. I think that guy's been making really good changes.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Actually, I want to call out Unholy Assault real quick, because this change on paper looks like it's just a 1-to-1, goes from haste to just a damage boost. But this is actually so much more impactful for Unholy, just because of the way our GCD scales and everything. Before, when it was haste, anytime we'd press that, we'd already be above 100% haste. That's not going to be changing the player's GCD, so the player itself would not gain any damage by pressing Unholy Assault. Now it does. While this change looks 1-to-1 on paper, it's actually a massive boost to our burst.
And that helps bridge the gap from the loss of those other two spells. Yeah, and they actually got it right in the dev note, too. That is, I love a dev note that completely explains that they show mastery of why this was a problem, and then they fix it for that exact reason. And just at the same time, when you read a dev note that is just unbelievably wrong about why they should or why they did change something, it's just like, it gives you a lot of insight. But the DK guy, like you said, when you read how they talk, they know what they're talking about. So very
absolutely good. Love all the changes we're getting. So if we go to the tier set now, I looked at your initial reaction to this for Unholy. You were kind of lukewarm on it, but it's actually a lot more interesting than it looks like at first glance.
Okay, sell me on it.
Yeah, so Apocalypse summoning an additional Magus to the Dead. Doesn't look that strong, but Magus is actually pretty dang potent. Before, it was still roughly like 7% of our overall damage just from summoning Maguses throughout the fight in single target. And now you double that. And on top of that, you're extending it by 0.5 seconds per every rune you spend. And you're getting a 5% damage buff every 10 seconds while you're active. So this makes Magus for the Dead like our #1 damage source, hands down.
Wait,
And
what
it
the
is
fuck?
It's
Okay.
so insanely good. It also does something really cool in giving Apocalypse and Army of the Dead some interactivity that it's just those two buttons have been the most fire and forget things for Unholy DK for the longest time. You know what I mean? You just press them, you forget they even exist. But with Magus now having that extension and the amplified damage, it's really encouraging you to extend this Magus, spend your runes, and rewarding you by doing so by increasing your damage by 5%.
Oh, okay. I fuck with that. I think those are some of the most fun interactions of any design for classes, which is spending resources in a short window extends that window, so you feel the need to kind of pool for it and play around it correctly. And then also potentially reducing the cooldowns by spending a lot of resources, like basically encouraging you to play well. And that what that really does for Unholy is just outside of all of their damage in their CD window at 3 minutes, their apocalypses are just going to frequently be really interesting. Like that's something every 45 seconds with this tier bonus that is something you're looking forward to. That's actually more than a buff and just damage. That actually just makes the class like significantly more fun to play.
Exactly. And then they brought that change over to Mythic Plus as well, because Apocalypse was basically useless in Mythic Plus.
And now it
But now
AoEs.
with, yeah, because it's cleaving the Shadow Bolts. And the visual of that is just so fun. Like, you pop a Magus the Dead and like 5-target AoE, and there's just Shadow Bolts flying everywhere from like 3 different Maguses. It makes you feel really good. And it's really potent too. And it's targeting that one area where Unholy's always struggled in that low target count range. Like, the 2 to 5 target range where Unholy just does absolutely nothing. Now it's got this Magus the Dead, and it's doubling them up with the 2 set bonus, and then they're all cleaving. It's just so good. It does exactly what Unholy really needed for that Mythic Plus focus, while also making its cooldowns a lot more engaging. I love the changes. I love the tier set for Unholy. Like, at first glance, it doesn't look good, but it's so cool.
Yeah, no, you've totally sold me on it. You actually make me kind of want to play DK for next patch. Let's all right, so Unholy, all the changes aside, you just woke up on Thursday and you read all of this stuff. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm not feeling real good because the PI nerfs and everything, like, and Unholy remaining
sucks.
at the current
that
tuning.
Sucks, man.
Yeah, so I'm not feeling real good, but I'm feeling good. So let's put it in good changes, probably above Ret Warrior. Yeah.
Bro, I would feel better than that, but I'll respect your opinion. All right, moving on to Frost then. I don't think Frost got any major class changes. Are they going to benefit from the Soul Reaper damage increase?
Yeah, that was a baseline change. They just upped the attack power percent, so they will benefit from that. But Soul Reaper feels like crap to play on Frost anyway, so I'm
Yeah.
not sure that they're really going to play it anyway. There is a change with the tier set that does end up making an existing problem a little bit worse for Frost.
Okay.
And that's the random element of resource generation. So Chill Streak having a 40% chance to proc a rune. So like you get that 40% proc, and then out of that, 1 out of 3 procs is going to be a rune. So like you're getting this like RNG rune generation, which is already a bit of an issue for Frost because they're already ignoring some of their resources, mostly runic power, and giving them even more runes just feels a little bit weird, and it's kind of just
I hated when I read this. The whole, I mean, I fuck with Chill Streak. Of all of the abilities for any class they can pick in the game to be like, okay, you know this thing you're not talenting right now it's part of your build all the time and you have to figure out a way to make it work. Me personally, I fuck with Chill Streak. I love that button, and when it's good, even, and like they're obviously making it bounce off of you, that's something I actually felt like should be just by default. I think Chill Streak just has so much more viability all the time if this is just built-in baseline. I don't think that should be on a tier piece. And the whole Chill Streak bouncing thing just has always felt really good. But dude, you're saying it's like a class with the economy that Frost has. It's like you're just going to get RNG things of Chill Streak cooldown, empower rune weapon by 10, but you're also potentially just saving it for something. I don't know. I guess it helps if you run 2 charges of it, but this just seemed like, I don't know the power level of it. I'll just completely ignore that. It just seems like this would not be fun to pay attention to or play around it. I don't know. You're saying that kind of, you feel that way?
Actually, I really like the set. All in all, it's a
All right,
great
fuck me
set
then.
with a great concept. I just don't like the RNG resource aspect of it. Like, if you removed that one word there, a rune, just remove that, it would be a beggar tier set. like hands down. Power level wise, right now it's actually kind of like brokenly overpowered, but I think it's probably bugged, so I wouldn't put any emphasis on that yet. But
Okay.
if you remove that one word where it's just
Oh,
not
so
a
okay,
rune, but
I
it's
see, I
something
see.
else.
So you're basically saying even though it's RNG, reducing the cooldown of Empowered Room Weapon or reducing the cooldown of Chill Streak would both feel great, and getting that 40% of the time is fine. But if you ever got a rune, you would just feel bad.
A bit, yeah, because you're already flooded on resources. Like
Yeah.
that rune is going to be the least impactful thing there, and we're already so flooded on resources. Like we won't even really notice that happening. Like I don't know. I just feel like the resource aspect of it probably needs a little bit of tweaking, but all around the tier set's really good. Like bouncing off of yourself, the damage buff, like even CDR on Chill Streak is really cool too, because getting that ball going and then being able to do it again like 25, 30 seconds later is just awesome. Especially if we have like a 2-target cleave fight, which I don't know if there are going to be any, but it would be just awesome to be able to use it.
When was the last time we played Chill Streak? Was it when the BFA Essence gave us the PvP ability? Like when it was...
Yeah, I think it'd be N'Zoth because of the Psychus phases.
Yeah, that's I played Frost then, and I just really... It's just... Of all the buttons that Frost has, when you have multiple targets in front of you and you press the Chill Streak button, that is you fucking love that. And that tells you everything. It's the best feeling.
Exactly. It's an amazing button to press. I like that they're bringing it into, just relevance because we haven't played it in so long. I just wish that the force that was tweaked just a little bit to be a little less resource intensive, and it would be probably one of the best sets Frost's gotten like ever. Like compared to like tier 28, which was just an absolute banger.
So how do you feel about Frost DK right now, starting from the news?
I'm gonna go because it has a lot of potential, but the resource issues are kind of holding it back, and the fact that there's no notes about that it's a bit of an issue.
All right.
I see that face, Max. What are your thoughts, man?
I think you're sandbagging your rankings a little bit. I mean, the thing is, we're not actually ranking classes. These are literally your opinions for how you feel, whether it's good or ed. Maybe you just land on the pessimist side of things. I would rank each one of those things one higher, but this isn't my list. It's yours. So that was why I did the face. I think you got to be feeling good. How the fuck can you be feeling as a DPS DK this expansion? Like, I understand they're in this perennial, like, breath or no breath thing. Every DK players, like, that hates breath is just like going into every patch like, this is finally it. Fucking fuck breath players not doing that. And then they just see one clip of someone just shredding as breath, and then they're just depressed because you have to play it again. And then everyone who loves breath is just vibing. Like, there's that. And then like Unholy, like how, Unholy is just always feeling good. I just feel like DKs, this has been a good expansion for y'all. Not to mention, you haven't mentioned one thing. You're getting a fucking legendary, man.
Okay, yeah. You know what? Move them both up one rank because the
That's what I'm
legendary.
saying.
That is going to absolutely kill breath as a build because no hysteria. But you know what? Legendary's worth it.
Yep. All right. Sounds good. All right. Thanks for the call, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
Hope you have
see
a
ya.
great stream.
Yeah, you too. Bye. I said you too, and he's probably not streaming. Fuck. This is like when someone says, like, I hope you have a good trip. You say you too, and, like, they're not leaving. I gotta end my stream, man. All right. Let's do Warlocks. Hey, man, what's up? Yo, before Kalamazi joins THD, hello, I need to hear your take on something. So I know you're a fan of AoE cleaning clothes. How do you feel about Dratnos' strat of leading up to races?
I heard about it.
Yeah, he just for the chat, what he does is he banks up showers. So like, let's just say he's gonna be really busy one week. He's got to make a lot of videos. He's got to cast the race. He's got to raid in his own guild after casting. He like showers like 10 or 20 times the previous week just to like, because you bank those as a straight 1-to-1 value. That way he doesn't need to shower the next week and stays clean.
Yeah, so I've tried that strat and it doesn't work.
You've tried it?
Yeah, so I mean it doesn't work.
But
So
your
I really-
strat of AoE cleaning clothes works.
Oh well, yeah. Have I ever smelled bad?
No, okay. Can you explain to the chat what AoE cleaning clothes means?
So you have a pile of clean clothes and you have a pile of, or not really a pile of dirty clothes, right? You just have like 2 dirty clothes and then you just throw them together and boom. Once you have to use it like a week later, the dirty one's clean.
I can see the logic behind that because like the smell dissipates after a while, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, if your clean clothes start smelling dirty because they're with the dirty clothes, they are literally cleaning the clothes because like that stink's got to be coming from somewhere.
Yep, but there's no stink, so it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have like an associated smell too. People just get used to it. Like, I take 2 showers a day. I'm clean. I'm just saying I see the logic behind it. All right.
Yeah. I mean, guys, THD does this in every race. That man's never smelled bad. He's very
True.
hygienic.
Even Sepulchre, and that was a month.
True. Well, you AoE cleaned the entire month?
Oh yeah,
Oh
no,
my
I
God.
never used the laundry at the vents. Yeah, hell no.
Yeah, why would you do that? All right, so Warlocks, we can kind of start wherever you want, but I think I have a feeling of where you guys want to start. Or do you guys want to lead up to demo?
I'm down to start with that, but it takes like 2 seconds.
Maybe we should start on the high notes.
Yeah.
All right, let's start on the high notes and go low. So where do you guys can start wherever, either of you.
Yeah, we can start aft. There's a lot.
Okay.
Go after THC.
So they just changed one of the talents because they changed all of those talents to just be a baseline CDR decrease. You never picked this talent, so it doesn't matter.
Got it. Okay. And
Even if they reduce that talent to 1 minute cooldown, I don't think you'll pick it anyway. So, yeah.
It's a talent that should be in the class tree
Mhm.
because it's in every single spec tree.
It's
it's,
in every
it's,
spec
it's the
tree,
divine
and
toll thing.
it's-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's divine toll problem, but it's never been addressed.
Okay. So that's like very few changes, but how do you guys feel about the tier? Both the one you're losing and how that feels, and how it feels to gain the new one?
I think the new one is slightly more interactive than the old one, but it's kind of the same concept, but slightly worse.
I think the new one's better in rating, the same if not a little better, but doesn't have any Mythic Plus implications because it's only Rapture on the 4-piece and not Seed of Corruption. They need to add Seed of Corruption to the 4-piece to make Rapture or Seed, and then it's pretty solid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, because you like extending your dots and plus is big. One of the problems with AF and plus is like we have an ability that mass applies agony. It's called Vital Taint, but it's not a short enough cooldown to apply it every time. So you have to like manually refresh like 8 of them, and then 4 seconds later, Vital Taint's off cooldown.
Oh, that's cringe. Yeah.
Yeah, and like this won't fix it, but because it's still like missing a second or two if you like change it to seed and seed 3 times, but it still like gives a bit more leeway, I guess. So
Okay. So the one change to the talent that they didn't really matter. You guys are generally okay with the tier, and you feel like there's an easy change to make it pretty decent. And then obviously Affliction right now is just pretty happy because Affliction is a good spec. It's a pretty good spec. So
Yeah, it's the one of the 3 specs that has been being improved. The
Yeah.
whole expansion.
okay, so I'm assuming you guys are going to put it somewhere decently high, but maybe dock it 1 level because Siphon Life still exists.
I mean, it didn't really get any changes. It's probably like but if
Yeah,
they
I mean,
change the bonus, it's probably like good, I guess.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
really
this is
change
like
is good.
overall with class changes and stuff. It's just because like Affliction has a couple dead talents that's just been there sitting.
Okay.
Siphon Life and
so middle of
That's not even a dead talent. I'm talking about like the talents like the agony.
oh sure.
The agony Seed of Corruption talent that's just been there. No one's ever picked it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just a couple other talents that have just been sitting there.
okay.
Why does Haunt not apply Shadow's Embrace?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so this was a bug fix in 10.1.5. It was a hot fix, a random hot fix. Like,
It's like a month ago.
yeah, it was, and basically Haunt is like a 1 second cast. It's pretty much a Shadow Bolt, but it applies a debuff to the target that makes it take more damage. What Shadow Bolt or Drain Soul does is make your target take more damage, and it applies like a 15-second debuff. Haunt was like a 15-second cooldown, and before you could pretty much keep it up by just casting Haunt with like 1 drain every now and then. Now you have to like randomly press drain during your burst window in order to keep the stacking debuff up.
Haunt and Drain Soul applied the same debuff. Now it's only Drain Soul, so it feels bad. You need to add
Yeah.
Haunt back to that. It's been that way since
was-
Wrath, Lich King, I think, and they changed it randomly for no reason, really.
Yeah,
It's sad.
so when they added it like back in Shadow's Embrace and Haunt, they changed it in 9.1, and then there was no mention of it anywhere until I ran them hotfix like a month ago.
Okay. So
E.
Affliction middle of to Destro. Did Destro get any? Oh yeah, they did get a few changes.
Yeah, they did get changes.
Yeah, they removed Madness of the Azek here as a talent, which was a 5-second maintenance buff. Whenever you cast Chaos Bolt, you had to like cast another one before the buff fell to like get the damage amp on it. They removed it because they said Destro's pretty immobile. It is. Madness was a headache when it came to like heavy movement fights and things and random movement. And they added a baseline talent, or they replaced it with Chaos Bringer, which just buffs Chaos Bolt by 15%, Rain by 10, and Shadow Burn by 10. They also buff Chaos Bolt by 15% to compensate for like losing Madness. So basically, Chaos Bolt's a wash. It gained like 5% extra damage overall, but you lost like the cast time reduction the Chaos Bolt had when you chained it with Madness.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
Madness, yeah, so it's a 20% cast time reduction removal.
So it's not really going to help your movement. That I would say
Correct.
removing sub 10-second maintenance buffs almost always is a good thing.
Yeah.
But the fact that it is actually making you more immobile is definitely not good.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind like trading like 5% back for like a 20% cast time reduction. Just tack it on the Chaos Bringer like Madness was. They also Rain of Fire and Shadowburn were nerfed by 15%. They used to be 25 at max talents, now they're 10. They didn't add compensatory buffs, whatever, however you pronounce it, like they did Chaos Bolt for Rain of Fire and Shadowburn. So you need to add those likely.
And they also, because they flatlined Grand Warlock's design to 1 minute CDR, on AoE with Rain of Fire, you spend way more shards than you do on single target. So you would actually get, in a heavy AoE scenario, so for reference this season, Freehold and Brackenhide, you would get like roughly a minute 20, maybe a minute 30 Infernal around there. It will always be 2 minutes now. So they nerfed the AoE of Rain of Fire by not compensating it, and they also flatlined Infernal the entire time.
I hate that. I hate that because, like I said earlier, this spending a lot of resources and that benefiting you and getting your things off cooldown faster or extending your cooldowns is like just there's very few mechanics like that in the game that are not good. Like they're universally well liked, and taking all of that intricacy out and now it's just a flat cooldown is turbo boring. That sounds bad.
Yeah, that GWG change hurts the worst for Destro. For the other two specs, it's a slight buff to Demo, and for AF, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it just sort of reduced Destro's, I guess heal stealing in a sense by removing Madness, which if the option is keeping Madness at 5 seconds and just not removing it or giving us Chaos Bringer, I think you take Chaos Bringer. But Destro it feels pretty bland. You just cast Chaos Bolt, which is a 2.5 second cast, which is glacially slow with no cast time reduction, and it's very simple to play. There's a video of somebody playing it with a shirt on their head, doing the same damage without a shirt on their head.
Is that why they're spamming blindfolds?
Yes.
Yeah, you can play it blindfolded. It's great. Lots of accessibility here.
There's no real
lots of accessibility. That's good.
Yeah, so you can do 99% of your damage fully blindfolded.
I think overall it's better than keeping Madness where it's at. I think the best solution was making Madness like 8 seconds instead of 5. But in the end, I mean, it's better than keeping Madness where it's at, likely. So
yeah, that's
give me a cast time reduction.
They got rid of Madness, which was 5 second maintenance buff, but like Eradication exists, which is 8? Eradication
7.
is is it 7? Yeah,
something like that.
Whenever you Chaos Bolt the target, he gets a debuff that makes him take more damage. Pretty much, you're still doing the same thing, but you just don't have the deal with Madness.
So you guys are getting the second tier set in a row that forces you to take a talent you don't want to play. How do you guys feel about this?
Well, the last one at least did AoE.
Yeah, this one's I think Dimensional Rift's cool to hit. It's a fun button. People loved it in Legion, but there's a handful of problems with it. It is pretty much a pure single target button. The 4-step bonus spawns a Flame Rift, but does very, very little damage at AoE. It's actually undertuned. They probably need to buff Dimensional Rift in general. The damage is pretty rough. The Immolate damage increase is okay. It's sort of applicable in like multi-target, but I think the biggest problem is like this is a talent that you're forced into. It is also a capstone at the center of our tree that we don't even take in certain builds at this point. And it's a hybrid capstone with the other talent in that hybrid being better. So there's a handful of options or issues here. You just don't play this talent in Mythic Plus, like that node at all, because if you don't play it, you don't get your Purple Infernals, which brings Infernal Stun and more Shard Gen. If you take the other talent away, you lose 2-minute Infernal. So it's like your hands are tied here. And even if you did play that node, you play the other talent instead. So
yep.
I wonder if something would be interesting here where there's a few other tier sets this season that they've posted so far that it's included something you don't want to play. For Holy Priest Renew, and there was one more for another class for a button they didn't really want to press, but they don't actually have to press the button, it just happens. I wonder if this could kind of work like that, to where like it says it has a chance to grant a charge of Dimensional Rift. What would be cool is if you didn't have to talent Dimensional Rift, and that was kind of built into the tier set, that when it actually procced, you could just use Dimensional Rift even though you didn't have to spend a talent point on it. Then you could take the other thing as well.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Dimensional Rift is a fun button to hit. Like, it's exciting. People liked it in Legion. It was our artifact weapon ability. It's very cool, but the problem is, like, it's just undertuned. It needs some buffs, and when you pair it against an ability that gives you max mastery benefit from all your spells, basically, you're going to take that, especially AoE and Cleave. Like, this is only a single target ability in the first place. Like, it's just, there's a lot of issues. They could just move Dimensional Rift to a different spot in the tree higher up, which might be fine, but it's sort of like is it worth the headache of fixing it in AoE and buffing it and changing talents around and everything else, or just maybe overhauling it? It's a fun button to hit, and it procs a lot. You get like 4 procs per minute, roughly 3 to 4.
Yeah.
But
so the 2 set doesn't scale in AoE either. Yeah. Because it is a RPPM pretty much.
Right.
It procs a lot in single target, but obviously on AoE you're not going to really notice it. Also, immolate damage increased by 20%. Again, in AoE, that doesn't do anything because there's no way for you to actually AoE immolate unless you pick Cataclysm, which no one picks because
Yeah, you play Inferno.
Yeah,
it's a dead talent.
Yeah, fucking bring back Cataclysm from
Oh, thank God, please.
from the old Cataclysm was so sick.
Yeah,
I mean it's still there. It's just Inferno's better. Like,
yeah, there's just it's in a row with another AoE talent. It's just shared right there, and you never pick it because it's fundamentally worse than the other one.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a node before it, not to get too in depth. It's called Pyrogenics. It's a 5% fire increase when you're random firing or whatever. All you got to do is just remove that and put like Inferno there or Kata there, and leave the other one in that spot. So it goes like random fire, Inferno, Kata, and Destro feels infinitely better and plus, and basically everywhere. But we have this weird Pyrogenics talent, which is like basically like a bridge to get to Inferno or Cataclysm. That's the number one change I want for Destro. Is like Kata like that or baseline Kata. It would feel so much better everywhere.
Okay, very good, very good. All right, so how do you guys feel as Destro this patch? Feeling bad? Feeling eh?
I don't think it's bad or good. You know, it's just.
I think it's eh.
Yeah,
it's just eh. All right, so the other class that was also getting PI'd at times,
oh boy,
and had all their cooldowns given to them, Unholy actually got some really, really good changes, and they did an excellent job of moving their damage outside of their cooldowns while keeping their cooldowns still potent. And for you all, they focused on Shadow Bolt, which is your filler spell. And yeah, I don't know. What are your all's opinions on the changes to Demo?
Splat and I did a lot of testing on a dummy last night. Like, not, it's day 2, but Demo's behind Destro and Af by about 40,000 DPS. It can sustain 100k. It's doing Blue Gear 10.0 numbers right now, which will change, but a lot of that's due to like just all the synergies they broke. It's
okay. So its power level is low.
Yeah, no, but they made it less fun too.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm getting into. So their power level's low, but they must have made the class feel better, right?
No.
It's no.
So
you can go TSC.
I'll tell you, right? So Nether Portal is a 3-minute cooldown, right? And what you did during your Nether Portal was you spawned an army of demons, like 20 demons, okay? They made it so your main cooldown, what your main cooldown does is it extends all of your demons, okay? And it gives them all a damage amp. They have made that talent, Nether Portal, not interact with your cooldown. So none of the demons are extended, they don't get a damage amp, so they last half as long, and they're not damaged, which completely kills that talent. You'll never pick it. So your main cooldown doesn't interact with your talent cooldown. On top of that, your main cooldown got nerfed too.
This is Tyrant, to clarify. This is Tyrant.
Yeah.
They capped the amount of imps that your Tyrant can buff from infinite to 10. So sometimes you would get like 20 or 30 imps in your Tyrant on like a big AoE if you came into a pack with like 14 of them still around, and you'd get like a big implosion at the end of the pack. But now it only buffs 10 of them. Okay. And they also guttered the skill ceiling of that, because before it was you wanted to summon as many pets as you could so that it would buff your Tyrant more. They made it so it caps at a certain amount.
It's 15. It's Reign of Tyranny below the Tyrant change.
Yeah.
So they made it like, it's.
I was running the math on that earlier when I was writing up some feedback for a couple days from now. So like, if you think about it, THC, your main Felguard, I'll try and like break it down, is any major demon. Imps are 1 stack of Demonic Servitude, 1 per imp, right? Every other demon is 3 stacks. So you have your main Felguard being 3, you've got your Grimoire being 3 for 6, your Vile Fiend being 9, and your 2 dogs are 3 each. That's 15. If you think about it, imps don't give a single point of value to Reign of Tyranny anymore because you're capped out without a single imp.
God.
Like, it is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well,
yeah, I mean, that's kind of the whole thing with the spec. Like, yeah, I understand them trying to like make the bursty specs in the game less bursty, but they're also making it a lot less fun, and they're taking all of the skill out of it, and they're taking the like fun. Like if you pop off and spawn like 1 million imps before you pop your cooldowns, that's actually like really fun. You're just like, oh, dude, I got like good RNG and I got extra things, so now I am benefited by this. But now you're just gonna be looking at all of your pets and know that nothing that you did to build them mattered. It was going to be the same anyway. So
yeah, so we're not even there. There's more. So demonic knowledge, you can read that change there. Basically, it now only has a 10% chance to give you a demonic core instead of 15. So what that is, that's your instant cast demon bolts. And in 10.1.5, they tried removing a lot of those sources. And here's another one. You get less instant cast demon bolts, so you're less mobile. You can't use demon bolt more, so you have to use shadow bolt more. and they removed Bloodbound Imps. What Bloodbound Imps was a talent that just simply made your demonic core rates higher from your imps whenever they'd expire. They removed the talent completely and replaced it with a talent that all it does is a random proc to do some AoE damage, and Implosion does 10% more damage, which is nice for AoE, but at the same time, you have to realize in AoE, before you would do Hand of Gul'dan Demon Bolt consistently, now you'll have to do like Hand of Gul'dan just Shadow Bolt.
Oh god, that feels so bad. That
multiple Shadow Bolts.
Jesus.
Yeah, because one Shadow Bolt is one shard, one Demon Bolt is 2 shards, and Demon Bolt was instant.
Yeah, and then you look at when you look at like the changes they made to Unholy earlier, you noticed at the end they added a bunch of damage to a few spells that they use rotationally, like outside of their cooldowns, like Death Coil, Scourge Strike, Festering Wound. It looks like they did the same thing for Paladin, but they're just buffing, or for Warlock, where they're just buffing Shadow Bolt by 30, Demon Bolt by 15, Vile Fiend, whatever. But like that, they made a post in 10.5 or 0.7, I forget, where they were like, hey guys, we think we're going to fix your burst. What we're going to do is just move a lot more damage into your Shadow Bolt. And then it got a lot of community backlash, and basically the response was, if you were to have any class have a note that says, hey, we want to move this damage from this cool thing into your filler spell that you actively hate casting ever, like that is where you're putting your damage, everyone would hate that. And then they said, okay, we've heard the feedback, we're not going to do that. But then it just seems they did that in this patch, right? That's their...
It's got pushed back, yeah.
Yeah, so like when they heard that in 10.1.5, they implemented like maybe 40-50% of the changes. And then they implemented these, which is more.
I think Vile Fiend is the most buffed ability in the history of this game. It's been buffed by like 500%.
Yeah, so Vile Fiend...
still barely worth casting.
I'm pretty sure it's been buffed by 30% like every few months.
Like every minor patch.
Yeah, and we've picked it since the start because it just buffed Tyrant. But like now they cap Tyrant, so you might not pick it even though they buffed it.
Yeah, that's the problem with Demo, is that at least with Unholy, when you're going to try to take damage out of their cooldowns, they at least have some interesting stuff going on in the middle of their rotation. Demo was kind of just like, as a spec design, full send on it's going to be fun when you're setting up your Tyrant, and there's just really not a lot going on outside of that, right? So by nerfing it on this, it's definitely gonna feel, there is no apocalypse to buff and make feel good for like Demo in the way that there is for Unholy. So their only choice is just to throw it into fucking casting Shadow Bolt.
Yeah,
that is,
I mean,
but also the thing is, right? I don't think a lot of these changes needed to occur to Demo to nerf it first, because Demo has a peculiar case at the moment where it's got the crazy clash trinket, it's got, you know, old PI. Granted, new PI won't be much different, but old PI. It has what
a ludicrous tier set and Iridius fragment.
Yes, the current tier set is a 20% amp tall. Your cooldowns.
It's borrowed power, is what it is.
And then you have a crazy trinket in M+.
And you have a crazy trinket in the raid. And funny, I know both of you know this, but for people in chat, going from Season 2 to Season 3 in this expansion, more than any other tier in your memory, is going to nerf the current tier's trinkets by a significant amount. So the eye level jump to next tier's Mythic Plus and Raid Loot, I believe, is it 12 or 13 higher of a jump than it normally is?
13 higher.
It's 13 higher. So any trinket you're keeping that is holding your spec up, like it does for Demo from a previous patch, is actually much more unusable than something like that has ever been, because it's literally 13 eye levels lower. Jumping up to the new season. So the things that are all propping up Demo, PI, which will probably go to someone else now, and definitely go to someone else now, actually, and both of your trinkets are all, and your tier set are all things that you're losing in the next patch, which brings me to the next thing. So you guys, at least you're getting a new good tier set, right?
Well, no, I still have more.
Oh, you have more before the tier set. Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I have a brief thought too. I don't want to drag it out too long.
Yeah, we didn't go too in depth. Yeah, there's more there. So the Gul'dan's Ambition change, the very first change, right? So when it says redesigned, all they mean is they removed the second line of that ability. Before, Nether Portal is a 15-second window where you summon a bunch of pets, right? And you're rewarded for summoning more, right? Because you summoned more pets. Before, when you summoned more pets, what you got was your Pit Lord at the end of it would deal increased damage and have increased haste. They removed that completely. So when you do a Nether Portal and you AFK versus if you do a Nether Portal and you min-max it to the fullest, your Pit Lord will do the exact same damage. Doesn't matter.
It's really bad. Like, I made a video like a month ago looking at, I removed tier sets and class trinkets and like a Iridius fragment, the external like bar of power from Demo, Destro, and AF. Demo loses like 30% of its damage with all the bar of power gone versus Destro and AF losing like 15. I don't know if that was taken into account looking at all the tuning heading in the tent too. That's my concern.
Well, there's another one I forgot. Oh my god, dude, they keep coming. Jesus. Inner Demons no longer has a chance to summon additional combat demon during combat. This doesn't really matter, but like, my question is the why. I don't think this ever mattered at all. It was a random 5% chance every 12 seconds, and it was just cool randomly you'd see this random demon, but they just removed the random demon.
Yeah, I
That
imagine
could
they
randomly
removed
spawn.
it because now that having extra demons no longer matters for you doing your demonic tyrant, they're probably just like, maybe it'll lag the game less if there's just less demons
It
in
probably
this world.
is. Yeah. I think the real problem, though, I'll summarize this because I know this is going a while, is that when it gets to a point where we're having to like whitelist and blacklist abilities, like your tyrant only works with certain pets and a certain number of pets, we cap the power, and Portal doesn't work anymore, and Portal pets don't work anymore, and we're nerfing Pit Lord, there's a root issue here. You need to just look at that instead of just saying, this half works and it doesn't. It's confusing to new players, it's annoying to older players, and it just feels like a shell of what it used to be. And that problem, I think, is the Nether Portal row. If you take out the Nether Portal row and change it, but you can leave the Ring of Tyranny Tyrant stuff, you can remove all that, you can remove the Imp Cap, which keeps like the demonology thematically around. I've been saying for a while, like, you just remove the whole Portal row. It's fun, it's thematic, I like it, but it hasn't worked. It's an experiment, I'm down for it, but in the end, it didn't work out. We got to accept that and move on. You make Portal like that node, Decimating Bolt, possibly, from last expansion, which a lot of people liked. I thought it was okay, but it'd be better for sure. It doesn't feed into Tyrant at all. The second node can literally be Sack Souls, which is a talent, move it there, or make it some conduit, Fatal Decimation from Shadowlands. And the third node can be the legendary. It was called Shard of Annihilation. It's a capstone from Shadowlands. And that was great in PvP. People have been asking it back for a long time in PvP. And in PvE, it was fine. That is a great row, and honestly, it feeds into the talents, Stolen Power and Sack Souls better than Portal does now. There's no interactions with Tyrant. It's a 45-second cooldown, so you're doing more damage in between your Tyrants. When you have tank damage, it's cool, it's thematic, and it's fun to hit. We need to just get rid of Portal. You can fix all the weird whitelist, blacklist stuff, keep the synergies around, and just do that. Just trim all that Portal stuff, get it out of here. It's a cool experiment. It didn't work. We got to accept that and move on. Because Demo right now is just, we're a 2-spec class, and that's it. It is just obliterated in the nicest way possible. That's it.
All right.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, either that or just go back to Season 3 Shadowlands and we'll start from there again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That spec needs Jesus.
Okay. What about the tier set?
Oh,
Sorry.
man. Yeah, it's bad too.
Okay, tell me the general idea. So your Demon Bolt's applying a Doom brand on the thing that it's going to explode after 20 seconds, but you can blow it up early by doing what?
You can't really blow it up early. It applies a Doom brand for 20 seconds, which is a 20-second, and then it will blow up at the end. So if you think it's bad, it does blow up when the mob dies, which I was surprised by. So that is great.
Wait,
that's
you
good.
mean it blows up like
if
to
the mob
kill
dies
them?
and it still has the dot on it?
Oh, it'll
blow
explode.
up.
It's smart. It's smart.
It's
good.
smart. Okay, yeah.
Okay, That's a good thing. You know? Demon Bolt and Hand of Gul'dan reduce the duration of the primary target's Doom brand. So the important way to play this in Mythic Plus is you Demon Bolt one mob, you Demon Bolt another mob, you Demon Bolt another mob. You're constantly tab targeting Demon Bolt on multiple mobs to apply this Doom brand to do AoE damage to them. And then
you tab target again. You tab target Demon Bolts to reduce the duration on
my
each mob.
God.
And the way it should work,
Yeah.
I think, is that Hand of Gul'dan, when it lands, it splashes, and it should reduce all of them when it splashes. It only reduces the targets you hit. So you're playing.
No. It's in the 2-cent bonus. Demon Bolt and Hand of Gul'dan
Yeah, I know.
reduce the duration of the primary targets. So the way Hand of Gul'dan works is it's a spender and it's like a big AoE ball on a targeted enemy, but it doesn't work on all of them. It only works.
I mean,
on
they very
part
clearly just need to add an AoE way to apply Doom brand, so you never even consider doing what you just said. And then what does the 4-piece do?
The 4-piece buffs Hand of Gul'dan damage by 15%. For reference, that does less than Shadow Bolt, so that's that got buffed by 30. So you know where that goes. And when Doom brand explodes, it has a chance to summon a Doom Fiend that blasts your target for the same damage as Doom brand. So it hits 5 times Doom brand pretty much. It spawns a Doom Guard, which is cool, and it hits the enemy. But then I go look, and then I just heard the Death Knight talk, and they have a Magus. It's basically a Magus, but theirs does a volley. Ours single targets a mob. And
Having
it's
it
an
AoE have a shorter duration but cast more often would be good. 15 seconds is a long time for a late proc when things die in plus to be relevant.
Yeah.
Plus, the proc rate is like 5%. It's so abysmally low. You have to buff it a crazy amount.
Yeah, it rarely ever spawns, and you have to remember it's a 20-second explosion. So like you'll be blasting a pack, it'll all blow up, the pet will spawn, the pack's dead.
I think a great fix to this, just make Hand of Gul'dan apply Doom Brand instead of Demon Bolt in the 2-piece. It's literally Hand of Doom. Everybody loved Hand of Doom back in the day. And make Hand of Gul'dan splash damage, reduce duration and everything. It's in buff damage and proc rate. It's fixed, and it's actually a really cool bonus. This is salvageable, and it's cool. It just needs some help.
Cool. So overall feelings on Warlock here.
Well, you've already made a new tier list section, so what do you think?
Well, yeah, I assume it's going to go down here. I have an idea of where to put this second to last row at some point, but I will let you guys name the thing as your as a reward to give you just something today.
Oh, sent back to hell.
I said obliteration, but that works too.
All right, cool.
Well, I remember the last time I was sent back to hell, man. That was the end of WoD. Wow, what a great time.
Thanks for the call, guys. I'll talk to you later.
See you later. Thanks, dude.
See ya. All right, I'm calling him up. Hey, man.
Hey, sure you want to do this one? Or
yeah, we can do it. How do you feel about just Monk gameplay right now in general?
It has a lot of problems, which makes I feel like 10.2 is a very like pivotal patch for Windwalker because it really hasn't gotten that many changes this expansion, and this is usually like where it kind of like falls off in an expansion.
Yeah.
And to see nothing is like you're looking at other classes, I think.
Yeah, when I started this expansion, I was like, man, there's so many like cool new things on this tree that look fun, but man, there's like 3 or 4 talents on here that sound so unfun. Like Rushing Jade Wind, 10-second maintenance buff, Feline Stomp, playing.
Yeah, I mean, we have Dust in the Wind, which is literally a placeholder. Like if that was a druid talent, it would have been replaced in like 3 months.
Yeah, and you were like, man, but at least right now we're playing some good builds. We're not playing Serenity where you're just overcapping your resources, one of the most unfun things in this entire game. And then you're playing Storm, Earth, and Fire. We're chilling, and then it's like, man, I hope we don't play these other talents. And outside of playing Rushing Jade Wind, the current Monk build is just playing like all of the least fun shit possible, and that feels bad for sure. But probably nothing gonna be changing there anytime soon.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know, like you're in like the middle of an ocean on a raft, and it's just hopeless. Like Warlocks can complain, but they'll get changes eventually, right? Windwalker, you're like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, true.
Maybe this expansion.
Like Warlocks right now are in sent back to hell tier, but like that by the time the patch comes out, which is not what this tier list is, they're gonna be taken care of. They're fucking Warlocks, right? At least power wise, they will. And Windwalkers, you just know you're fucked. Like there ain't no way you're not getting it. So I think we feel pretty similarly on the.
Yeah, I mean, you're overcapped on resources all the time, even without Serenity. You just don't give a shit about your chi economy at all, which sucks. I mean, we'll talk about the tier set, but it doesn't help at all.
All right, yeah. So let's get into this super cool tier. So last patch they made a tier bonus that said during your melee attacks X happens as part of the tier, and then they got a lot of feedback like, hey, I don't know if y'all know this, but monks don't melee attack during a lot of their abilities due to like weird bad design decisions. So like specifically having our class proc things off of melees is crazy because like we just don't do that for weird reasons. And then they're like, okay, we've heard the feedback, we're removing this. And they did. They removed the previous set bonus that did that. And then they did it again.
Yeah, that was like 5 months ago, right? That happened.
Yeah,
that
it
wasn't
happened,
like 2 expansions ago.
Yeah, that happened 5 months ago. Yeah, and then and they did it again, and this time it'll make your spinning Critcake free, something that already happens sometimes anyway due to other talents. So you're just gonna be spinning sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
And which also, by the way, spinning Critcake makes you unable to melee. So just throwing that in there. And then the free spinning Critcake will grant you Ebon Toes.
Yeah, you get so the free Critcake proc from the tier set makes the same sound as Dance of Chi-Ji, which is confusing, and it's called Windfoot, which lasts 15 seconds.
Yeah, it's called Windfoot, makes the same sound and then noticeably doesn't massively increase the damage of your spinning Critcake. Like
so
Chi-Ji does.
I can understand what they were trying to do with this tier set, but it's just really poorly implemented. Like it does not.
Yeah, I think the idea of anything happening in your Blackout Kick, because Blackout Kick kind of roasts if it's going to be happening like pretty, especially like in AoE. Like if you press this free spinning Critcake and you know that your next AoE Blackout Kick is going to do 100% more, that's going to do a lot of damage. So like you're feeling good about that, right? But then the 4-piece is you're like, okay, I'm getting there. This black eye kick's doing a lot of damage. It's gonna reduce the cooldown on all these buttons that I want to press, and then it's just 1 second, and it's, you know, that's what is that, you know?
Yeah, this is like a more convoluted, like Walmart brand version of the Antaurus set. It just makes you wish we had the Antaurus set again.
Yeah, it's not good. Everything's bad. I have never felt more vindicated in a decision than choosing not to play Windwalker this patch because of talent decisions, and it looks like that'll stay that way. Unfortunately, when this class is like playing the right talents, it's just like the most goated fun class ever, and it's so sad to see that class be put down like this. But all the Windwalkers out there know the deal. This is, you spend a good amount of time of the expansion in despair, so this is one of those times.
I think the melee attack thing is really bad, obviously, but if it led to them addressing the auto attack problem, like baseline for Windwalker, at least something good would come out of it, but they don't communicate that, so we don't know what they're doing with that.
I just really, when I read this the first time, what gave me so little hope, like when I see them make mistakes, I don't really get mad because you're learning from them, and actually in a lot of cases they do, and they like learn and get better. Like for example, a lot of the like class changes they made recently to like spec trees, that has been consistently getting better because of the mistakes they made early on, and they've been like learning from it. It's like, okay, fuck yeah, all good. But like seeing them make a mistake, which is like you could only really make if you just fundamentally did not understand how the class actually played, which they did last season when they announced that tier, and then to see them make the exact same mistake as if that entire situation didn't happen means that someone else is doing it entirely. That person forgot, that person doesn't care, or even if a new person was doing it, they didn't talk about how that went down before. I don't know. It's really disheartening and really weird situation. Made me lose a lot of faith in whoever this is ability to design things, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's like I feel like they don't have a monk dev. I feel like Windwalker is like a minimum viable spec. Like they're doing like maintenance mode, like the bare minimum they can to keep it going along. And like it's just like the collaborative effort of all the other developers, but they don't really know how it works that well, or like they're not really super passionate about it. Because I mean, MissMarvel's been getting a lot of changes that are good, and so is Brewmaster, but Windwalker's just been like rotting the whole expansion.
I see a few people confused as well. You're saying melee attacks have a chance. This is not all melee attacks. This does indeed.
Yeah, I tested it. It's auto attacks.
It is
like auto attacks with a 0.5 second delay. It's a 5% chance, and it is PPM based. It's not RPPM, so you could just get unlucky.
Everything's bad. All right. Anyways, well, I think it's worse than got absolutely fucked. Just general things. Got a terrible tier bonus and did not receive changes when I would say they're probably a class that needed them design-wise and power-wise maybe as much as anyone, and they got nothing. Right. And seeing nothing says so much, and it's almost just as bad as seeing some bullshit that a couple of lines of text that don't matter.
Well, they wanted to, like, one of their mission statements for this tier set is they wanted to, like, make you pick certain talents, but, like, you're going to pick, like, Dance of Chi-Ji, which you can already do all the time anyway, and they added, like, Rolling Dragon Punch, but Rolling Dragon Punch doesn't do anything. So in 10.1, they buffed Rolling Dragon Punch in PvP by 80%, but left it untouched in PvE, which is like confusing to me.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything, and also it would feel weird playing Rolling Dragon Punch and the Zwen thing where it's reducing both of the other two cooldowns. Like
right, we just like we have so much like we have no ability to cast anything else in our rotation. We have so much resource. This is like the opposite of what we'd want.
Yeah, so I'm gonna name the tier Toes, and I'm just gonna put it there. I think that's probably where it belongs.
Okay.
In Toes tier. Yeah. All right. Thanks for the call, big dog.
Yep, you too. Love you. Bye.
Yeah. Oh, gee. Hey, he left. That caught me off guard. I couldn't say it back, Chad. He already left. I can't do it. Let's go through a few that I don't think we really need to talk to people on. Let's start with Aug. So Augmentation Evoker is like turbo broken. They're insanely strong. I think the reason there wasn't any nerfs posted is because I think they're in the process of nerfing this class. But I think if you're Aug and you're as strong as you are right now, and you don't see any nerfs in the thread, you're already feeling real good. But I think if you're smart and you're an Augmentation Evoker, you should have this sinking feeling that your spec might be about to be taken out back. So I don't know exactly where that lands here. Yeah, it's like the haha I'm in danger thing, or like the this is fine with the dog in the fire, the house that's on fire. So like I don't know. What do you guys think? I feel like they both make sense. Like I could see if this list is truly about how you feel going into the patch after reading this stuff. Right now you're feeling, I mean, I guess like right now they haven't been nerfed, so you have to say feeling real good. But like they're getting nerfed. Like they're getting nerfed. They're probably going to get fucking shit on. So like I don't know. I guess we can look at their tier. So Augmentation Evoker's tier, they're 2 set. Oh, actually, this will actually alter that opinion. So every third prescience lasts 100% longer. What this does within a fight is it allows you and your Ebon Mites in fight to basically give a guaranteed third person Ebon Mite instead of having 2 of them be via proximity, which is actually a cool change because it makes in raid, it makes prescience, or it makes Ebon Mite way less cringe to cleave the wrong people. You basically have 1 person who you're looking to proximity buff instead of 2, and even that alone is so massive, especially when there's multiple of these things. It does have one weird interaction, which is if you want to be completely optimal on the pull, you would have to do a like super long pull timer to make sure that exactly 3 presciences are out on the pull and for the opener. Like mid-fight, if you're just playing well, it's going to happen naturally. But on the pull, if you wanted to get this perfect, you would have to do, I think it's like close to a minute pull timer. I'm going to go ahead and say that doesn't matter very much though, because I don't think anyone should do this. You can make sure that the Ebon might still go on anyone. It's on the right people on the pull easily. It's just about making sure that you like proximity an extra person that you want to have it on the pull. If you're doing 50-second pull timers to make use of this 2 set in your guild on like early bosses or even early pulls on later bosses, you're fucking wasting your time. There's no reason to do this. I would guess if this goes live like this and there actually is a benefit to that, I could see us maybe doing less than 5 pulls in the entire Race to World First, where we do a 50-second timer to actually have the damage to do something like that. Because even in the scenario where like you feel like you can kill it every pull, sometimes you're at that point for 15 pulls, and then you've now wasted 15 minutes, which would have given you 3 more pulls of time in just the time you've waited to pull the boss, in which you would probably have killed the boss anyway just by getting better at it. So I know people are dooming about that, and it is possible that you run into some fucking dumbass minute-long pull timers. I'm just telling you ahead of time that you just simply don't need to do that. Another thing about augmentation is I think they're gonna gut the like summoning before the pull thing. I don't think that's going live. And then the last one, casting presence enhances your next eruption with smaller fissures each prescience you have active, each dealing 110% spell power damage and extending Ebon Might by 0.2 seconds. I have no idea what the fuck. Are there any augmentation evokers that can tell me whether this bad, good, good, bad, bad, good, like, not like? Are any of you guys augmentation? Are there truly any augmentation evokers, or are there just refugees? Pretty mediocre, decent. It's meh, more uptime. It's there. It's very meh, mid, and then this is good. I think this solves a lot of problems, but I would like to say that the main problems that the 2 set solves should be solved in the game all the time anyway. And it can be done a few ways. I've spoken about this before, but one thing that instantly solves all augmentation cringe of bringing multiple in a raid environment is currently the way that Ebon Might works is it will always seek out another person if you already have 1 Ebon Might. So let's say you have 2 proximity Ebon Mites near you. It will jump to other DPS who don't have 1 yet. The problem is right now, it considers augmentation a DPS, and basically the only really bad Ebon Might you can do in a raid is by giving it to another augmentation evoker. Even another healer, if there's relevant healing, is fine. But healers are lower than DPS, and AUG are DPS, so it'll always go on AUG even before a healer. So highly recommend that you make augmentation an even lower priority than healer would be the best thing to do, but even making them healer priority would make AUG 10 times less cringe to play around in raid. And then that would make this a problem that doesn't need to be solved, but it's just kind of like a nice, cool damage bonus thing. So I think overall, I don't know. I think if you're an AUG, you're feeling real good. You just exist. You didn't get insane changes, but you're like built insane, where some of these other classes are built dog shit and they're just hoping on really good changes. Why not call an AUG expert? Because there are none of them. And some of these you just don't need to do that. So yeah. Yeah, so we'll put this in feeling real good until they get nerfed, and then they'll probably be feeling a lot worse. Okay, there's probably some others I can probably get out of the way without having to call people actually. Oh, some AUG evoker messaged me. I'm gonna use this one message to influence my decision. It's 1000% to feels bad. Force Depression's tank and Mythic Plus is giga cringe. I mean that's so minor. Like okay. I'm gonna ignore that. You're feeling real good, AUG. You got no changes. All right. I have a Feral to call. I have a Shadow Priest to call. I have a Rogue to call if he ever shows up. We could talk Havoc, but I don't think I need a Havoc expert. I think we can kind of just talk about this alone. I'm sure I could find one, but there just hasn't been anything listed yet. So Havoc has been in this really, really weird spot for all of the expansion. they got reworked and they had some good ideas for their spec tree. Like if you look in their spec tree, they have like distinct things they want to do that like kind of make sense that felt like they were missing for the past couple years. And they reworked Momentum, and I think this is easily the biggest problem. They reworked Momentum, which at one point was a really cool spell that was full of burst windows. It didn't have a high uptime, and it was a big damage increase, and you built up and pooled resources before it, and then you activated it, and you spent as much resources and damage and did as much damage as you could within the window, and that is everything that made Momentum great. There will always be people who hate Momentum, because for some people, they're like, fell rushing around for damage just sounds stupid to me. I want to use it for movement. That's fine, right? A lot of good players love Momentum, though, or old Momentum. So what they did this expansion was they made Momentum a like almost permanent uptime shitty maintenance buff that still has you fell rushing around. So the people who are against it for fell rushing hate it as well because you're still doing it. And all of the good players who liked it because it actually challenged you and it made you really think about the decisions you were making throughout a fight, those people don't like it either because it's just a dog shit maintenance buff that you're fell rushing around for no reason, as they say. So I really hope when they're looking at giving Demon Hunter is the other class getting reworked in this patch besides Rogue, and I really hope they look at that because currently that serves no purpose. A better thing to do than right now would just be having you play a different build while you're reworking it or figuring out, or just simply make Momentum the way it used to be because you can always go somewhere else on the tree and you could play another version. For a long time, Havoc existed in a state where it wasn't even really controversial or polarizing. Like, Momentum was like the smallest bar ahead of Blind Fury, and Blind Fury was like the easiest shit in the game, zero thinking, not fell rushing for damage, and still good, and playing Demonic. And then you could do like slightly more as an optimal player by playing Momentum. And like this was true for years and during different parts of different expansions as well. And so you did have the best of both worlds if you wanted it. And then that they removed that for now you're just fell rushing around for no reason. So I really, really hope they look at that. Another thing, and I think they address this in here. They do. Increasing access to key Havoc utility that currently clashes with DPS. They're one of the only classes in the game that has this really weird... There used to be a lot more classes with this, but for now it's just... Is it just Havoc that still has this problem? So, within their spec tree, they have to select Fell Eruption, Desperate Instincts, and Netherwalk, which you guys may think like, oh, it like doesn't matter that much for a Demon Hunter. For years, Netherwalk was just like gravy for Havoc. It was like, okay, maybe cool. I mean, if I have to spec Netherwalk, I will, but I'm so fucking tanky anyway that it doesn't really matter. And that was because they did an insane amount of leech, and they had an insane amount of like self-healing and leech, and they were also naturally more tank. They're not naturally more tanky, but they had a better blur. I believe blur got nerfed a little bit. So now they're in an expansion where Havoc Demon Hunters are absolutely squishier than they've been in previous expansions. And it's also the expansion where they are asking you to make those defensive choices at the start of their spec tree instead of taking damage, which obviously, hopefully none of you guys need to hear that that is not an option. You can't do that. No one will make that choice. It's bad. They are addressing that within the tree, and they said that, I believe the exact words were something like that. Yeah, improving pathing and connections in the class tree, addressing underutilized talents, and increasing access to key Havoc utility, something like Netherwalk, Fell Eruption, and maybe Desperate Instincts. I guess that's more defensive. And they said that they're improve access to that without it clashing with DPS, which is an exact thing that they are fixing with that. So amen to that. Hope they do that. Overall, I don't really know what else Havoc really needs outside of that, but I think if you're a Demon Hunter or if you're any class in the game, at the very least, you are happy and probably feeling real good if you are hearing that Blizzard is buffing or is reworking your class, because that has meant, maybe even in a bad way, that your class is extremely fucking good. I think not only are the classes getting stronger that are getting reworked because they have new synergies and new talents that are powerful, but I think it's an even higher level than that. I think Blizzard is intentionally making these new reworked classes strong because people are reading advertisements that they're reworking their favorite class. They want to come back to the game, and they're much more likely to enjoy it and play longer if those things that they came back to the game to play are good. That also obviously applies for the implementation of augmentation, which is another reason why I'm pretty sure they're going to nerf the fuck out of it, because they've already kind of had that time. So I think you got to be feeling real good about that in general, and I also think Havoc is just a spec that has so much potential, but isn't in an awesome spot right now just due to a few things. And then talking about their tier, I actually think their tier is sleeper really cool. I know there was a lot of initial backlash to it yesterday because they were just like, I don't know, this just sounds like kind of lame. But I think with the right talents, this is gonna do pretty good. And I don't know about the number on the hunt, but pressing the hunt a lot more often sounds fucking sick too. Like this is almost certainly too low of a number. It's obviously RNG, but you also do a lot of slashes of blade dance, so I think this is fine. I'm fine with the 2-piece pretty much in general. Maybe some of those numbers are slightly changed. The 2-set, yeah, big fan. The 4-set, this number just needs to be bigger. But if this number is bigger, I actually think this is sick. I think like spamming the hunt is fucking very, very nice. It's cool for movement, and it's also just really strong. So, and the hunt's damage over time effect, that's kind of weird, but like just casting the hunt anyway is cool. So what is it? It only looks good in AoE. Yeah, just this whole thing in general. I wonder what they'll do with the rework to like improve Demon Hunter single target too. Because if you go down this tree, there's so many potential cool concepts in this tree that are not really possible because of the current balance of a lot of things here. And maybe the worst part is like there's some cool stuff that you can do over here, but you're just always going down this direction to get momentum to just do nothing and charge around for no reason. So at a baseline level, you have Havoc that is feeling real good because they're just getting reworked, and that is super fucking OP. And they've actually done a really good job of that recently, not just of the power level, but I mean the way the classes feel after they are getting reworked is fucking insane. So that's really, really sick. And then the tier set is definitely not like a banger, but I don't think it's bad, and I think it's potentially kind of cool. So I will take some of your all's direction. Havoc Demon Hunters in chat, or chatters pretending to be Havoc Demon Hunters. Do you think the tier drops Havoc down a ranking, including the fact that they are getting reworked and that's like the most insane shit ever? Do you think the tier moves it down one? Goes down to good changes. There's enough people saying yes. I trust you. Yeah, so basically it's just, I had a DH message me and they were like, TLDR, need to wait for a new tree really to see what's going on with the tier set. Oh, I guess that's a good point too. Like the tier set could make a lot more sense with new reworked spec tree too. So yeah, I guess that's a good point. I can do Ret, probably. Actually, did Ret? No, Ret didn't get shit. I guess they just got new tier. But the new tier, if I remember, was like turbo mid. Oh no, not mid. It was your finishers do 50% more damage basically. And yeah, okay, we'll look at that in a second. This entire bit basically just says your finishers do more damage. But that's like a lot of their damage, so it can be really good. Oh, and you get a Lego though, and that's a guaranteed up one level at least. So that's a very good point, yeah. Gotta remember that. Wait, I didn't even mention that for Warrior. I wonder if Critcake would allow me to retroactively move Arms Warrior and Fury up one in general, because we did not incorporate the fact that they're getting a fucking legendary weapon into either of those things, even though we don't know what it is. Legendary, sure, fair. All right, doing it. Blood 2. Oh, good point, yeah. Blood 2, yeah. Blood is like the only tank gaining the legendary, right? So if it's like super sick, it could actually make them meta alone. That's absolutely worth one, yeah. Oh, 1 second. I did get some context for the Havoc rework. This is a message from one of the class developers in some Discord. Yeah, thanks. We'll see how it goes with DH. I do want to temper expectations that the scope is and always was smaller. Rogue has like 15-ish new talents and 15-ish reworked and redesigned talents. DH is probably more like 5 and 5. Spec tree structure will get changed, but not nearly as much as the Rogue ones. Class tree is the only one looking like it will be very different, more similar to Rogue. It's good to have like clarification. That's pretty much exactly what I assumed. And that's still significant. Like, you know what some of that is? Like, oh, there's not any minor changes. We're just doing 3 or 4 things. But then like, what a lot of that has been is it's like you can read it as simply as you are getting 4 more points in your spec tree, which is like alone is just fucking sick. So like it's something like a name that not even be being mentioned in this message from him, right? So all right, getting MissMarvel for Feral. Let's get Feral out of the way.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Sorry. Holy shit, you scared me. I don't even know why I called you and everything. Yeah. Hey. So Feral Druid going through a weird part of the expansion. You guys were like super sick in Mythic Plus for a bit, and then I feel like not a ton of people played it. I mean, I'm just reading this and this sounds great. How do you feel about it?
Are you talking the tier set or the changes?
Not the tier set, yeah. Just specifically on the class changes page.
I think overall the changes are quite good. Yeah. So like we've got Apex Predator's proc rate changing, which gives us like free bites randomly whenever a rip ticks. Obviously, like we have a spell that puts rip on everything, so it procs here constantly in AOE, and we'd mostly ignore the procs except to maintain the buff that bite gives, which is called Sabertooth. So we're going to get more bites now in low target situations and fewer bites in high target, but I don't think we really needed that. Let's see. We have Cat's Curiosity replaced. So Cat's Curiosity gave us a lot of energy when we already had way too much energy. We're constantly overcapping. So we never picked that talent. And the new talent, Saberjaws, just make Bite do more damage. That's good, you know? That's better
when it spends extra energy, yeah.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Like I'm sick of the overcapping on energy stuff. I miss when in Shadowlands when we kind of had to think about the energy that we spent. And it was a slower play style, certainly, but you know, it's good now as long as we just aren't overcapping and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. And then what about the change for the change for Incarnation was like pretty irrelevant, right? It was like yeah. Well, it's an upgrade talent for Incarn, like you said. It's pretty small. I'm not even sure we're going to run Incarn with the tier set. Okay, so that's fine for those changes. Well, did their by the way, this is actually something I pay attention to a lot. Did their dev note for what they were changing line up with the changes they made, and do you agree with like the reasoning for it?
Yes, absolutely. There was a lot of randomness. The tier set and Ashby's Guidance would proc randomly, give you a ton of extra combo points. Sometimes that was nice, sometimes that wasn't. I appreciate that they're making changes so that we can more control, you know, the damage that we put out and when we get our procs and stuff.
Okay. And then how does the tier set tie into this? I think I'm trying to remember what it is, but I think this was one I saw yesterday where I was like, this looks fucking insane. But it's boring though, right? Isn't it just?
It depends because so it just gives us 20% more damage for 8 seconds after using Feral Frenzy, and then the 4-piece reduces the cooldown of Feral Frenzy, and all enemies take extra like fire damage for those 8 seconds or whatever. But what this 8 seconds of damage means is we have the potential to Convoke the Spirits, which is something we haven't really seen all expansion. And I hope it works out this way, because Convoke is fun, and using Incarn has gotten a bit stale. And Convoke was nerfed like quite a few times early on, so it just hasn't really been an option. And the timings work out really well, also, because with the 4-piece reducing Feral Frenzy's cooldown to 30 seconds, it kind of lines everything up where like we have Tiger's Fury and Feral Frenzy on a 30-second cooldown, and then Convoke on either a 1 minute or 2 minute cooldown. 1 minute feels a lot better, but again, with how many nerfs it's got, we're not sure if that'll be the play.
Okay, that's good. So overall, if you're a Feral Druid going into last patch to this patch and reading everything you read on Thursday, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you feeling pretty normal? Are you feeling toes?
We're feeling good.
You're feeling good?
We're happy. Yeah.
Good changes. Good changes for Feral.
Good changes.
And we were having this conversation too, about a couple other specs like Survival and Mistweaver, where it seems like there are specs in this game, and I think Feral's one of them, where there's such a low amount of people playing them that even if they were ever insanely meta, like super fucking insane, and I think maybe the closest they've been to that in a while is Mythic Plus in Season 1, then like they would have to be even better than the best class by like a decent amount for people to actually swap to it rather than just like trying to play Moonkin. So hopefully this patch is Feral Supremacy. That should be pretty fun.
Feral Supremacy, totally. I compare it to Survival in Season 4 of Shadowlands. I think we need a tier like that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they definitely... I think most, like, underplayed classes need a tier like that. All right. Thank you for the call.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Yep. Okay, so I did have someone for Dev reach out to me, and they were like, your augmentation takes are absolutely fine. I can say a couple words about Devastation if you want, but I heard your impressions, and I think you had it covered. And I'll just call this person and talk about it. We'll just get Devastation out of the way. Can you hear me, big dog?
Content. I'm setting up my mic. How's it going, Max?
It's going well. Going well. I think it's going well for your all's class. Actually, this is such a weird spot for... sorry, what is your... So you do a lot of dev stuff, and I'm sure by proxy you also are involved in augmentation, but like, are you mainly more of a dev? Like you're more passionate about Devastation?
Okay, so this is kind of where I'm at. So I'm doing the aug guides for Wowhead, but I'm playing both, obviously, right? And So when it comes to yeah, this is Jereico, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, you just mean for the stream.
Yeah, just for chat. I saw a bunch of people. No worries. So this is the thing. I think you pretty much covered everything as far as I'm concerned for augmentation. I mean, the thing is obviously the spec's in a ridiculous place. It's very good. It doesn't need a tier set to be effective, so we are just kind of waiting to see, I think, if we're gonna get any other changes. Because right now,
You're definitely
I
getting
think
more
we're just kind of waiting for the hammer to drop. So
Yeah.
I have other thoughts other than what you've described. I personally don't think I'm not a huge fan of the crazy setup that you need to play Aug in a raid setting, and I think you have a similar opinion when you mentioned, hey, we're not going to do this crazy setup most of the time. I think that's pretty accurate, right? But I think you basically covered the implications of the tier set and everything, so I'll leave that there. I think that's pretty much
Cool.
set. Yeah, but no, I mean, from a playstyle standpoint, especially in raid, I'm still having a lot of fun playing Devastation, and the fact of the matter is so I mean, yeah, from a playstyle standpoint, we lose that thing where we kind of want to space out our empowers a little bit. We just kind of, that's gone. But in terms of power, it's just as strong. So we had a strong tier set before. We have a strong tier set this tier. So that absolutely looks good.
Yeah, I think your new tier set.
We talk about the mastery changes first, actually. Yeah, sure.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you kind of brought the tier set, so we'll get into the mastery thing in a second. I think your tier set is better than good, regardless of actual value. Maybe it falls off. And one weird thing is if you ever wanted to PI this class, and I think it is actually a pretty good PI in general. It's weird now where you would almost want to delay it because your damage is going to be so backloaded in your CDs. But I think this is one of the coolest tier sets I've seen in a while. This is going to be so fucking insane. And Devastation's going to have such a unique damage profile that I guess they've kind of had for a while, where they just do damage over a long period of time. And then there's some downtime, but they're just kind of just pumping out damage for a bit and they can extend it. You are going to be doing very good damage for a long fucking time, and that is so strong for certain things in fights. There's something so weird with Dev, and that is that even if it owned and augmentation stays the way it is, I feel like people won't even get to play it. It's not like guilds have augmentation evokers and devastation evokers. A lot of the times they're both, and
Yep.
And if Dev is super fun and also super good, it kind of sucks to think that people might be forced into playing Aug. I'm pretty sure they're gonna nerf the fuck out of it, but in a scenario where they don't, I think it'd be pretty sad if Devastation had a tier set this good and you just didn't end up playing it.
You've nailed it. So I mean, I have that on my list right here. Devastation's biggest issue right now, if anything, is augmentation. And pretty much for that exact reason. If Devastation and Augmentation brings similar damage to the raid or to a key, there's just no reason to play Dev. Augmentation brings so much more utility. It brings a cheat death. It brings longer buffs. It brings healer HPS. It just brings so much more on top, right? This tier set, it plays absolutely well. I played it on the PTR, and it kind of feels like you're actually playing Dragon Rage for a full minute.
Yeah.
So it's minute on, minute off. It feels really nice. It's got a tier set where it's going to feel fun to play. And unfortunately, we're probably not going to play it, especially on the harder prog bosses, because right now, especially with the sort of prescient setup and the more control that you get there, you're probably going to play Aug. So
And then
that's kind of what that looks like right now.
Yeah, and then so for the changes they did in the dev node, I think this is something they've constantly been looking at, because the mastery for Devastation is extremely polarizing and very unique. I would say even kind of weird. It's just super weird.
Yep.
And they've kind of just over time been taking more power out of mastery as a stat and just putting it in baseline, because it's just, I don't know, you don't want to have, you just don't want to feel terrible with your no cooldowns up when a boss is super low, for example. I think is the big concern. And then also threat when you first pull something is a big concern. How do you like how they're handling that?
Yeah, so they've obviously, this is the second time or third time that they've done this now, to sort of, just nerf the effect of that mastery. And I mean, I think that's exactly right. Up until now, it has felt bad sort of towards the end of fights where, you're like, oh yeah, it's the last phase, I want to burn the boss, and you just kind of can't once Dragon Rage is over, so feels bad. As well as sort of the M+ implications again, where you've got a little bit of burst at the start of your pulls, and that's great. I've been talking with a couple guys, and bottom line is actually, in some cases, you might even have too much burst right at the start of a pull to where you kind of run out, or, you kind of hit a a peak, and then after that you're kind of not doing much, right? So I think this will both be effective in M plus settings and raid. Math wise, it works out to be basically completely neutral overall in terms of a fight. So flat and then like a 2% nerf in like the 5-minute sim because of the way that things work. But I mean, whatever, that's nothing. There is an impact to PI, of course, especially with the tier set, right? So, in general, Devastation is a spec that will benefit from PI, and with some of the changes to the other specs, it's probably a good target. But with the sort of ramp that you get with the new tier set, you will want to delay it a little bit, right? So
so you're very likely you're going to want to get a healer PI. You're not going to want to get a Shadow Priest PI.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be very
exactly
strange way to do it. And then there's something else that I think is interesting too. So the more and more that they nerf Mastery, that has this weird unintended consequence with Augmentation, where if you wanted to play Augmentation next year and then maybe swap Dev on some fights and Augmentation on others, it's going to be hard if they keep nerfing Mastery to keep the same gear, right? Because like Aug just wants like every shred of Mastery it can get and then main stat, and then Dev is like more and more moving away from Mastery.
It was pretty good this tier. So, this tier was still kind of, hey, stack mostly Mastery for Devastation. Looking at sort of preliminary sims right now, you're going to prioritize Crit and Haste, and Master will be like a third stat behind them. So there is a gearing challenge there.
You're going to have to pick one. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, cool. So how do you, tier set and changes with Devastation and just everything involved, how are you feeling optimistic-wise going into the patch? Feeling good about these changes, or are you... I mean, you got to be. I mean, like the tier's got to be feeling good. That tier's so good.
Oh, Devastation feels awesome to play. Like, and frankly, it will be strong. It looks great. So I'm really excited. I'm expecting to play Devastation in my raid on some of the sort of earlier fights for sure. Right? Anything that doesn't need like a crazy DPS check or anything like that. But I'm here for Devastation. Honestly, yeah. I'm gonna say good changes overall. That's changes. That's I think where we're gonna put this.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Where the biggest wrench is what's gonna happen with Augmentation. I think that's the biggest thing.
I think that's another thing that's interesting is how strong is the legendary currently for you?
So the legendary, the way it works, right, is you're basically just putting out a little ball that gives main stat and speed. And it gives it to you for a lot of the time. It'll also give it to other people in the raid. But because it's mostly just main stat, you will eventually replace it with something, towards the end of next tier that just has more eye level.
That's so interesting. Have you determined what you think the eye level is you'll replace it with? Because this is something...
I was going to say, we've estimated kind of around 380 or so, with the tier obviously going up to 389. So, depending on how you want to prioritize your gearing,
that's
you might
so interesting.
Pick that up sooner than later, but
if they didn't do the change where the next tier is just like way higher eye level as compared to this season than normal, then you would have probably used that legendary for the whole patch. But because they made that change, you'll actually replace it late now. I think that's good. Oh, well, Goop says, do you think the legendary is getting an upgrade path? No shy, replace it. I could actually see that being a thing.
They haven't announced anything yet, but I mean, if they do, then great. Like, we'll take it. I mean, whatever, right?
I mean, having a legendary and then immediately...
Oh, I said 3. Sorry, 489.
Dude, okay. If anyone in chat heard him say 389... And they were just like, what could he mean? Like, no, you knew what he fucking meant, man. All right, that's fine. Thanks for the call, man.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
See ya. All right, let's get Ret out of the way.
Good morning.
All right, Chad, this is Bolas. He's a Ret Paladin. He wants to give a quick take about how you're feeling about Ret. I guess all you really have to talk about is your tier set and maybe just some general thoughts on Ret. So I'll just let you take it wherever you want.
The tier is kind of sick. The current tier kind of sucks, and it's good to get a tier that doesn't suck. Like, current tier is like half the value of the new tier, so that's kind of cool. There's no changes posted for actual Ret changes yet, but there's kind of some changes that need to happen. Like, Ret has an issue at the moment where it's really hard to take your cleave talents and have them actually be worth anything on like raid cleave fights where you want cleave. So you just end up running single target talents in every situation, even when you don't really want to be.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to have some changes at some point to get that addressed. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Tier set good, needs more changes. That's about it.
Okay, so where do you think it lands on how you're feeling going in? So you
Good
default
changes,
feel good, but you feel like there could be some better ones. I actually think that's a terminal thing. I don't think you should even look past that, especially because your class was recently reworked. That is easily the worst feeling thing about any tree in the game is the classes that feel like they have to give up way too much to grab their basic AoE package. Actually, wait, no, the only thing that's worse than that is the having to pick defensives in your spec tree and lose damage, but they've almost removed all of those except for Havoc. But yeah, I think that's way up there with that. So I think it's good to mention, and even though you feel like it's good changes, could be better, The rework was good. Literally, this is the most unkillable class in the game without a cheat death in maybe ever. Like, Ret is actually unkillable. It's fucking broken.
You can literally never die in raid. You have to be doing something really wrong to ever, even like you don't even have to press a defensive and it just doesn't matter. Like your passive tankiness is insane.
Okay, it's good changes because you like the tier. Would you be interested in going up to feeling real good because you're getting a legendary for the first time in a long time? It's up to you.
I think the tier plus the legendary is good changes. I think there's other stuff. There's also a problem where Ret is like a spec where it is really easy to do like good damage with it, right? Like the basic rotation is very easy. There's not a lot, just generating, spending holy power, that's all good. But there's really nothing you can do past that point, or like not very much you can do to actually, optimize your damage to be better than that. So you end up in situations where like an average Ret player and a really good Ret player basically do the same damage. And I'd like to see that addressed. I don't think that's ever getting addressed before the end of this expansion, but like Ret, I don't know. It's got things that need to be like, it hasn't had any of its talents touched since the rework like 6 months ago, and there's like stuff there that you like, just needs a little bit more work. But
it does feel like outdated. Like, yeah, they made a lot of good changes, but I do agree with you. I think it might be on purpose though. Like when they made those Ret changes, Ret was the most played class in Mythic Plus, and it's like this random fucking pretty niche melee spec, but like a lot of people like it. Like the best way I could put it is there's a lot of people who have Horde and Alliance flags in their room that play Ret Paladin, and I think that they want the class to have a lot easier options because of that. Is maybe the way I'd put it. So I think it might be intentional that there's not a lot of skill expression, but
I'm fine at it being like a spec that is easy to get into. Like that makes sense. That's all good. That's what people want Ret to be. It's just once you get to the point where you want to really sort of min-max it, not having any avenue that's available for you to do that kind of sucks.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the call, man.
No worries.
All right. We got Wordup for Enhanced Shaman. Hey, man. How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
And we have a new enhanced tier set, which is strangely close to like the last one in concept. But did Enhanced get any changes in the class thing?
The only change that's there is the Primordial Wave, which is basically just to support the tier set, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I guess also technically they nerfed Mana Spring, but...
yeah,
but
well, that's a healer problem, not mine, so...
Yeah, oh, fuck, amen to that. Just heal me, man. Actually, wait, just before anything else, how do you feel about Enhanced in general as it stands on live right now?
I think it's probably the best it's ever been, if you're being super honest with yourself, because it's actually really good at something. There's no one else that's as good at burst AoE on like medium-sized targets as Enhancement is, because it's cooldown so low, it can just fire it and it'll delete ads on Sark, or it's got the Nelth bug, but it's so good when it can be good.
Oh yeah, it fucking
no one else
cranks.
can do it.
It cranks in raid, and it's it's actually so unfortunate because I feel like Enhance would be absolutely shitting on this Mythic Plus season. It's just that like
if it could live.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think at a certain level you can always find a way to live, but it obviously has to try a lot harder and maybe save some reses for them and stuff. Worst case scenario. But I also think they're like just right outside of the god comp because
I think they're like the spec that's closest to getting in.
Correct. Yeah.
Like if any of them got nerfed like just a little bit more, or if next season leans just a little bit more, Enhancement gets in straight away.
Yeah, I think you're right. So we just got done with one where it was based on Sunder, so it's like a 40-second cooldown, and then you're just absolutely blasting, but you're playing a little bit different build. This one seems like it's kind of still wanting you to maintain that on a shorter cooldown. You're just going to absolutely roast, but I think it's pushing you in a different build direction, right?
So for single target in the last tier, it was kind of like only one build could really get use out of it, which was the Storm one, and it like real use. Whereas this one, they can both use it. It's just better for the other build for Elementalist. But
do you
they
like
can both
that?
use it. It's only 1 point you flip.
Do you like that, or do you like playing the Storm build?
I personally prefer Elementalist. I think it's more fun. There's more going on. But like both of them are going to be able to play with this. Like I've seen it on forums and in posts and everything that everyone's like, well, one of the builds is just dead now because it doesn't use that talent. But it takes like 1 talent point flip, which is anyone can do that. So it's not difficult to fit it in. And they're both going to get something out of it. It's basically this tier's bonus in terms of like what it can do, except better, which like, that's just good, right? Because this tier's bonus was pretty strong when it finally got fixed.
Yeah. Wait, why did you say you think it enables the tier set for Primwave? You just think that like Primwave got a damage buff, so like you can at least somewhat feel it when it's buffed by 20% because it's nature damage?
Well, it's shadow damage, so it doesn't get the nature like the mastery scaling. But the main thing is just the button on its own. When you press it, doesn't do any damage on.
Okay, and because the
really
force
bad,
set
so
is
you're dumping a
reducing it,
global.
because the force set's reducing it, they want you to feel. You want that button to just feel better. I think that's just a regardless of
It's
this.
just a single target thing, yeah. It's to like make it have immediate punch when you press it.
I mean, I just think it's a good. I think it's a good change just for the rest of the game in general. I just think things like that, like when you're pressing a button like that, and it's something you're using to enable other things when you press Primwave, but like making those buttons that are a global feel better, I think is just really good. It's like the lesson they learned in BFA when they tried to put everything on the global and realized that felt like shit, and it's mainly because the buttons just weren't doing enough to make the global worth it. And that is pretty much solving that for Primwave.
Yeah, I think like the biggest ones for that is Storm, because Storm's really global locked. So now that button actually competes to do damage, spending a point to get it to turn the set bonus on doesn't really hurt at all. So it's just like it's a healthy change because the button feels dog shit to press at the moment on live.
Yeah.
But everything after it is super awesome. So
yeah,
fixing that is good.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so that makes sense. How would you say with the current tier bonus and how you're feeling about the class in general? How are you? You said going in last patch it was like fucking amazing for enhance. How are you feeling with the tier set announcement?
I think this set bonus is like really strong, like incredibly strong for AoE. It's single target. It's kind of about even with where we were, and everything that we're good at on this patch, I'm pretty confident we'll be better at next patch. So if there's any ad waves, any like burn points on a boss, if there's ever any funnel, like the spec is easily up there as one of the best.
Okay.
But like it's not actually changing that much. It's just getting better at what it's already good at. And what it's good at, people tend to like actually want in raids. It's just the single target is going to be kind of whatever.
Okay. So you have to pick one. Are you feeling real good, or are you feeling like there were some good changes? It's pretty good.
Because like the only thing that's changing is the set bonus. I'd say it's just good changes. There's not like enough to like overwhelmingly make me super excited. But like if it was just the set bonus on its own, I'd say it's the best possible result you could get out of a set bonus. But since there's nothing else, it's just pretty good.
All right, hell yeah, man. All right, it was nice talking to you. Still, you doing all right? You feeling good? Just in general?
Yeah, I'm feeling great. Right. I've had like, a great tier. I love Shaman in it.
Let's fucking go. All right, nice talking to you, man.
Hell yeah.
See ya.
See ya.
Hello.
Hello, Dobby reporting for duty.
Yeah. All right, chat. This is Publik. He's a priestman. So yeah, I mean, we can start with the changes instead of getting into the tier. But I also think that it's probably weird being a priest because like you've been so good this expansion, so it's gonna be weird. Oh, they're already 07ing. That's so good. You're like, we're propped up by all these things that are not about us, right? It's like PIing other people. It's mass dispelling in season 2. It's mind soothe.
It's in the spotlight, right? Like it's getting a lot of
Yeah.
just attention in general, you know?
Yeah, they're making sure that every single thing you have is nerfed. And then I think there has to be some feeling of like fear that at some point they're just going to do one too many things and then your damage will be bad. And then it's just like irredeemable. Like it's just not good enough, and it could just be over nerfing one of those things. Like obviously you're never going to complain about having that many tools, but like obviously they already nerfed the fuck out of your off healing, and now they're making mass dispel a little bit longer. Although I think in the problem with mass dispel probably wasn't mass dispel, it was things that could be mass dispelled and the amount of them and the potency of them.
Yeah, like it was just so interesting, right? Because if you look at previous seasons, we've been giving historical feedback on like we wish priests had more valuable utility. Like we've been saying that for expansions in past seasons, and then all of a sudden they were like, what if every dungeon was just goated for priest utility and all the new affixes are just solved instantly with the priest? And suddenly our utility was ridiculous, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like super. I mean, I think utility is so hard, especially to balance, because it's so dependent on what dungeons they pick in the dungeon pool, what mechanics are in those dungeons. Obviously, like raid fights, you know, same kind of thing. So yeah, we kind of hit the lottery almost this season. So yeah, I'm a little
definitely hit the lottery. Like there,
yeah,
not even this season, just in general. Like just thinking about any class in the game, if you were to pick any class's toolkit, and that toolkit includes the ability of like the value of PI to a 5-man group is insane. Yep. Mind Soothe is beyond insane. It's actually like I think Mind Soothe might be better than like Cloak or whatever the Shroud ever was. Like really, it's as good certainly as it ever was. And actually maybe not after the nerf of the things that can see stealth, but I don't know, man. I just feel they have like VE, Mass Dispel.
Even the Mind Soothe point's interesting, right? Because last season no one really talked about Mindsoot. Like we had it then as well, and there was some stuff you could use it for, but like I feel like this season, especially like Halls, just was crazy for it, right? So it's I don't know. I feel like they just like saw priests like asking for more stuff. They're like, okay, we'll just make you god tier at all of this, you know? So I don't know. I'm kind of like, I understand why they're making changes. I think some of them feel a little knee jerk because of how good it is right now. And it's like, well, no one really knows yet. Like, I guess we just had the dungeon announcement. So I think some will probably get reworked. So we're not totally sure how good Mass or how good Soothe will be, right? We'll have to kind of wait and see.
Yeah, I don't think Mass Dispel will be nerfed that much on like bursting, because the 2-minute window is already where you're pulling Giga anyway. So as long as you do it with
for big groups, especially for push groups,
you want to talk about the power infusion thing?
Yeah, I mean, this is just the wrong way to nerf it. I mean, I think I don't want to dog on it too much. I think you already said it a little bit with like on the healer bit. If the problem is the people that we're giving power infusion to, the answer is not to nerf the priest power infusion. Like I think, you know, you can say what you want. I think Shadow's damage has been reasonably okay to competitive based on, I mean, I don't know, it's been hotfixed a bajillion times, but I think ultimately they just need to make a change where if you want to nerf power infusion, buff the twins of the Sun Priestess talent to compensate. It is really confusing if people are in chat aren't sure, but twins of the Sun Priestess basically says when you give someone else power infusion, you get 100% of that effect back on yourself. So if they want to nerf power infusion, if they then buff twins, it would then get canceled out for the priest power infusion. And I think that would be, if that's where they want to go, like that would be a healthier way to do it. But I don't know. I mean, I think we all know that power infusion is just pretty unhealthy for the game, I think. And they're just trying to find a way to make it work. And I don't envy them.
Well, I mean, there's other things that give external benefits. I've always for a pretty long time been okay with power infusion. Like I understood its reasoning, and that's just like purely selfishly in a race. It's fun for me. It's probably not even fun for my raiders, but it's fun for me because like there's always cool ways you can move it and use it to your advantage, and I find that to be a fun problem to solve. And like all I do is solve problems in the raids. Like I only view it in like a positive way. I think now that we're going down this deep dark road of
support specs
support specs, and then also just crazy amounts of utility on multiple classes and also raid buffs. In a 5-man dungeon, power infusion stands to always pose a huge problem, and it does two things. It's basically like think about how many DPS cooldowns you have in your dungeon. It's usually like 3 major ones because you have 3 major DPS. Some classes have like some minor ones they can do in between, but power infusion just gives you like a 4th cooldown alone, and that is enough in most seasons if Shadow Priest is decent, which Shadow Priest has been really good in dungeons recently, and they have a really good profile. Like, a lot of people will look at their DPS, but it's less their DPS and more the targets they're doing damage to. They're very fucking good. And if you're adding another DPS cooldown to your group, that's just like the power of that is immense. And not only does it potentially cement a Mythic Plus spot for the Priest, but it also cements the other spot of the person getting PI'd as someone who has to scale with haste. So I was going through this the other day, but I was trying to do dungeons with James, and Rogue does a ton of damage, but notably, it gets absolutely nothing from PI. And let's just say there's a world where Rogue does the same non-PI damage as a Mage would do without PI. I don't know if that's true. It's probably not, but let's just say it's close. The fact that PI exists would make it so you would never end up playing like the non-haste scaling classes. So I'm definitely more of a fan now of them. I just don't think it affects the game positively enough to be able to power infuse other people, and I think it's a failed experiment. I know most people feel that way.
It's so hard, right? Because it's so exciting, I think, for some people when they get PI, but like in order to balance it, it almost like can't be exciting. You know, it just has to be some random buff that you don't really play around. Otherwise, it's just gonna favor some specs over others. So it's probably time to move on, I think.
Cool. But, yep. Is there any other changes you think are super interesting before getting into the tier?
Well, that's the fun part. We actually, so going into this, so the power infusion nerf, I mean, I don't want to say it's whatever, but it was like 1.5%, 2% nerf for the priest, and then whoever we're giving it to, right? From like an overall damage perspective. So like not massive, just doesn't feel good because it doesn't line up with our cooldowns as well anymore. The other changes in this list, I know it's kind of small. It actually in total is up to like a 10% nerf. So they actually just slowed the spec down and then nerfed our damage. So that feels really fucking bad. I don't know why. Like, I understand like kind of what they were getting at. Like they said, you know, the rotation has a lot going on. Some of that's due to the frequency of our enhanced fillers. So they reduced how many enhanced fillers we get and cut it by 33%, right? Or bound down to that. So what ends up happening is the spec is slowed down and there's less things to react to. And again, like I said, it's like 10% damage. So that feels just bad off the bat. I kind of get they want to slow the spec down, and like that's fine if that's what you want to do. I just think they need to give us then compensating changes to like, okay, well, you slowed the spec down, you know, and they did buff some of it a little bit, but it's like a drop in the bucket for what that actually did for us. So really disappointed with that change specifically.
Okay. Now this was really, I feel like Shadow or Death doesn't feel great for priests, right? It's just since coming back,
Yeah.
it's not like an awesome button. So seeing the tier center, I don't know. What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, it's kind of hard because it's empowering a playstyle and a build that we're already currently using. So the best build with this is the one that we're currently using right now. And then they just kind of nuked Yogg-Saron and Void Form like out of orbit. Like it's just gone now. So not only are they're kind of like reducing build diversity with this, so that kind of feels bad. So I think people were, you know, usually with a new tier, you're like looking forward to, okay, what new playstyle might I switch things up with? And it's not really going to change that for a lot of players. So that part I'm a little disappointed about. But on the same time, like especially the 2 set, it's just making you a Shadow or Death execute machine. And anyone that doesn't like that is just lying to you. You know, like getting more execute, being good at execute, and kind of firing off a bunch of Shadow or Deaths. Like there are some interactions with there. Again, might be stale for some players, but you know, there is some positives with that. The 4 set just is kind of weird, I think. I kind of get where they were going with the 2 set, and then where they took it with the 4 set, I don't know, kind of a hard left turn, a little bit. So yeah, I think the execute part is great. The rest of it, not so much.
Yeah. And sorry, I was showing a thing from James. Did you talk about the 4 set as well?
Yeah, I was kind of just mentioning the 4 set is just kind of weird and random. It's just buffing the crap out of a dot that we don't.
Does it
actually
stacking
press.
on Shadow Crash matter?
It does in AoE and maybe a little bit if you're taking the talent in single target. They actually nerfed the crap out of Shadow Crash's damage, so we actually don't press it for damage today on live. So it's kind of a weird direction how they're like moving us back into it being like an AoE button, but then they square root scaled its damage in the patch notes to kind of make sure it doesn't get out of control.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the really feels bad part, and this is like, I just feel like almost the person that wrote the changes isn't the person that made the tier set, because in the changes they were like, the rotation has a lot going on, and there's just it's busy, and then the 4 set gives us more buttons to press. So I just don't. That part feels a little weird. Like if they were saying you're pressing too many buttons, so we dialed back how many you're pressing. Why did you give us more with the 4 set? It just feels like, you know, that didn't really make any sense to me. Or at least, you know, why are you adding a new button in Shadowward Pain, which a lot of people aren't pressing very much today at all. That feels kind of weird. Could go on something else like Devouring Plague or a different spell, and I think it'd feel a lot better.
Okay. All right, so you are going into the patch, like obviously you're really strong. You have to combine all of this information you've learned. They nerf PI, they nerf Master Spell, they nerf your entire damage by 10%, and they gave you tier that reduces your build diversity. How far down are we going here?
I think it got absolutely fucked. I don't really know what else to say. I don't really have a lot of positive things. You know, they keep almost finishing a rework of the spec. At this point, I don't need a new rework necessarily. I just need them to finish it. And it feels like we're just getting kind of beaten down because we rolled the lottery this season. So, yeah, got fucked. I think it's probably accurate.
All right. 07, thank you for your service, man. Thanks for the call.
Yep, no problem.
Right.
See ya.
See ya. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, man, you want to talk about Mage for a minute?
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay. Wait, you guys didn't get any notes on Thursday, right? Just here?
No, just the tier set, yeah.
Okay, so that'll be fast. I mean, in general, how are you feeling since the rework for all the specs? I mean, obviously, Mage is real fucking good, but yeah.
Yeah, it's real good.
Is it fun?
Since the rework, yeah, it's a lot of fun, but the tier sets, I'm kind of a little daub on.
Okay, so let's look at those. We'll start with, which one's first here? We'll start with Arcane. Oh, I remember seeing this. Yeah, this is Dookie.
Yeah, so the 2-piece is fine, but the 4-piece, I see what they're trying to do, because currently you don't cast missiles, or you do, but you clip it. You don't actually channel it. And they're trying to get you to cast it more, but it's just not enough damage, or it's too many clear castings, and piece kind of just sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea with 4-piece. Like, if Arcane Missiles was a spell you cast that did a ton of damage, like how it has kind of been in previous years, that would be insane. like casting arcane missiles and just having it hit 6 targets if it's in its position where it like did a lot of damage, that could be great. It's just like not strong enough, right? So
yeah, exactly. And then the only one like it would be good in AoE is you don't get clear castings in AoE, so you barely get this. You get it like every minute.
Oh yes, that's just bad design. So after consuming clear casting, something you're not doing ever, you want to cast something that you wouldn't want to do in AoE anyway. So it's like only single target for said bonus. So yeah, that probably needs some tweaking. Okay, and then you said you do like the 2-piece? I feel like
yeah, I mean, it's just flat 10% damage.
Yeah, I guess
it's what I like imagine it to.
Actually, that's a really good point. I was about to say it's like really boring, but a 10% damage increase 2-piece is fucking massive. That is yeah, it's a lot. That is like a historically very high 2-piece. Even really good even like a 6 to 8% 2-piece is really good usually. And I guess you won't get it in the opener, and you are kind of a bursty class, but I mean like you will have it for most of the fight. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, another thing this tier set does is you go back to playing your season 1 rotation, so it like completely changes your rotation. Because
wasn't season 1 rotation cringe, or was that not cringe, the cringe
but
one?
Yeah, it was kind of cringe, but the rework helped delete a lot of the cringe things. It's still kind of cringe, but it's a lot better than it was.
Okay, how does fire feel?
Fire, it's like completely passive, and initially when I read it, I was like, oh, this is insane. It's just so much damage. It's actually pretty bad. The 4-set isn't really good because it doesn't work in SKB. It only works on activating combustion, and your main source of combustion is from SKB. So I think the 4-piece, someone said, was around like 1.8%. And compared to our current tier set, where like completely changes how we play and it's really strong, I think for the numbers, you need to double this tier set strength to match our current tier set. Not even adding like in our current tier set just made the gameplay way better.
Okay. Yeah. So, well, I mean, yeah, I feel like fire is just in such a good spot anyway that they don't even need to have like a super interesting tier set, you know? Like they don't need to be saved by tier. It's just like they need a little something, but it's just not strong enough necessarily. So I can see the Dobby. Are you a Glacial Spike fan?
I don't really play Frost, but because it's never been meta, but I do like Glacial Spike. I kind of don't like that they're making it around Glacial Spike, like forcing you to take it. But I know a lot of Frost mages are really happy with Glacial Spike. My main issue with this is just copy paste from our current tier, like exactly the same. They just replace the spell that does the effects. So that's kind of boring, but I know a lot of Frost mages are happy with it, which I have no clue why. It's just the same exact tier we currently have.
So overall, not very happy. Okay, where you have to put all of these in order in how you're feeling based on the patch notes. It sounds like you might feel bad about all of them.
Kind of, yeah. Fire should be like, I think. Like Fire's just whatever. It's like the effect's really cool. It's all passive, which is fine because our current tier is just really interactive, but it's a little strong, so it's like. And then Arcane, I think it's the low, like got absolute fucked. I think
really?
Going back to season 1 is really bad, and the 4-piece is like non-existent right now.
Okay.
It's pretty bad. And then Frost, I was gonna do feels bad because it's just the exact same tier, but I know people like Glacial Spike and they're happy it's around Glacial Spike.
Okay, so you're happy with Frost and feels bad then, or do you want to move it up?
You could put it I know a lot of people are Glacial Spike fans, so they're gonna like it way more.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. Is that actually how you like it? Actually, did you say you wanted fire and Is it?
Yeah.
Is it above Frost or below it?
Above Frost for sure.
Damn, really disliked Arc. I guess Arcane could maybe even go below that. It's just that the two under there like have. I don't want to make a third unique thing.
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't want to put it in them.
Yeah.
Those tiers.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the call, man.
Yeah. GG.
Yeah. See it. Very cool. I'm gonna call an Ellie Shaman real quick. Hello, Mr. HawkCorrigan. Are you there? All right. So, did Ellie actually get any changes? No, just the Mana Spring thing, which is super relevant. But I think it's worth mentioning that when they brought up Mana Spring, it seemed like, at least for Resto and Ellie initially, it was their idea to give Ellie and Resto some kind of raid viability, because there really isn't like a class that like you could technically have a raid buff that gives mana. The reason why that wouldn't have mattered this expansion so far is that mana just has been totally irrelevant, but now they're nerfing the fuck out of mana. They're nerfing that trinket, they're nerfing all of the healer's mana economy. So it's possible that there is actually a need now to have Mana Spring be good, but seeing them nerf it makes no sense because it's already really weak. So I would like Mana Spring to be way more powerful to where like one of them is good in a raid because it's just actually noticeably higher mana. I think that would be a great way to solve their no raid buff problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't entirely think that mana is a good solution, but it's probably better than not having anything.
Oh yeah, definitely true. Yeah, I guess there could be something a little bit more permanent. Okay, so how do you feel about the Ellie Shaman tier bonus? Let me see if I can remember this one. Done a lot of these today.
I mean, on paper or in practice, right? Because the two-piece itself seems fine, right? Locking us into Primordial Wave just means that we're going to play Fire again, which I personally like. I know that it's contentious in the community in general, right? Like the split between like Fire builds and Lightning builds. It's just problematic in itself, but fair enough. Linking Primordial Wave just to an immediate burst thing and like casting an Elemental Blast is kind of nice. The thing is, the Elemental Blast that's being cast is actually an Elemental Blast, right? So it works as a spender, it works as basically the cast itself, right? So
wait, does it consumes resources or whatever generates?
That it does not, but it works with Further Beyond, right? Do you know what that is?
Yes, it's the one that extends your cooldown Ascendance, right?
Yes, which means we have 100% uptime.
Oh,
which
that's very interesting. That's gonna be fucking insane, right?
I mean, from the numbers I've seen on PTR, it's not like we can compete with BM Hunters anyway, but it's a good thing, purely DPS-wise. I don't think it's a good thing gameplay-wise, just being in Ascendance the whole time, ignoring your 4-piece completely and only casting Lava Burst and Elemental Blast is kinda degenerate gameplay. So I hope they just either got Further Beyond or just solved the issue some other way. Right? Yeah, the 4-piece is basically just whenever you cast a Lava Surge, you are incentivized to cast a Lightning Bolt. The thing is, if your Lightning Bolt doesn't deal damage, this won't make you cast it anyway. Right? If you have access to Lava Bursts all the time, this isn't going to solve the thing. I like the idea of the tier set. I think for AoE specifically, if they fix all of the bugs, right? Because currently the Chain Lightning doesn't generate resources and doesn't consume the buff. It's a mess on the PTR itself, but that's to be expected, right? I think in AoE, the tier bonuses read fine. They just in single target incentivize Further Beyond builds, which I don't think is a good thing. So yeah, that's basically the TLDR on it.
Okay, yeah. I also found it interesting earlier that you were like, yeah, it's really, really good right now, but I don't think it beats BM Hunter. And I don't know why it's so funny to me that like the two classes that actually have to do crazy damage to ever get brought, as opposed to every other class, they're also just like looking at each other and be like, it's like a death match. Like you have to do more damage than specifically that class to have a chance to get that one raid spot. It's so fucked.
Sure. Yeah. It's a thing, right? Because, I mean, the way that Further Beyond builds work is that you need 100% uptime. You need to have the 100% Ascendance if you have, like, any downtime on the fight. If you think, like, Razageth or anything, where just the boss despawns, basically, you're not gonna get that, and that's kinda gonna break the builds.
Yep, could be bad. We're also fighting Razageth's brother this raid, too, so... And they are related, so... It could have some wing dragon-related things. Okay, cool. So in general, all you do is you have to go off of the tier piece. I know you're a little scared about the degenerate gameplay, but just design-wise in general.
If I ignore the existence of the Further Beyond build, right? It's probably an tier. I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't do too much. I like the idea in itself. Don't ask me where exactly in the tier. I have not watched the stream the whole time.
Oh,
just
no,
put
you're
it
good.
in the middle, I guess.
Yeah, I'll put it near the middle. I'll put it in between the mages. That'll be fun.
Just as long as they don't break Further Beyond, I think it's gonna be absolutely dogshit and just very bad gameplay-wise. Which, yeah, I don't know if they will consider changing the talent, if they consider changing the tier piece, the tier set to work better with the talent. I don't know how they want to solve that.
All right, thanks for the call, man.
Yeah, sure thing.
Yeah, see ya. Oh, he's here. Hey, man.
Hello.
Hello. I know you're a dragon now, but I think you pay attention to druid stuff still, right?
I've been hitting the dummies for the last 4 hours.
All right, Jesus, I did not mean to insult you like that. Okay, well, they besides just tier bonuses, they tried to like mix up your tree a little bit, move some stuff around, tried to make some of the AoE options be a little bit more interesting. In general, just not tier related at all, how do you feel about the changes that they did?
The tree changes are good. They're pretty much what people have been asking for ever since they made the last tree changes. Cauldron, which is a damage proc on your Star Surge, and so its only single target benefit was blocking off the Rattle the Stars Starweaver choice node, which you pretty much want all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So like it felt kind of bad to take on AoE, so they swapped it with Starlord, which is just haste, so it benefits single target and AoE, so it just makes more sense. They combined the Mushroom node into one, which was something people were asking to do for a long time because it's just at the bottom of the tree where you're really strapped for points. So it being 1 point is very good. And then the tier set's nice too. So overall, looking pretty good.
The tier set's weird, right? Isn't it like the 2-piece is actually really sick, and then the 4-piece is just super whatever?
I think it's the other way around, actually. The 2-piece is kind of weak. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, Pog. But numbers-wise, it's actually not very good. But, I mean, it feels good. And I'm always down for good vibes. The 4-piece is strong, I think. Some people are a little down on it because it's, like, more ramp. Like, it restarts every time you enter a new Eclipse. You just have to build up your 15% damage bonus. And Moonkin has a ramp problem. It's probably its biggest problem right now.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's like compounding the problem you already have, right? Like isn't it like a high key class? Like in high keys it actually gets to the point where it can do it, but on low keys it just feels like shit.
Yeah. I mean, most dot classes have that issue where like if you're in a low key, you put up your dots and everything's already dead and you're like, well, why'd I waste my time doing that?
Okay. So that's good, keeping it very general. So if you're a Moonkin and you entered this patch and you woke up on Thursday and you were like, okay, I'm looking to feel good. How do you feel? Feel like feel like good? Talent tree changes?
Like bottom of good, like between and good, yeah.
All right, fuck yeah.
So I think like tuning wise, it has some work still. There was a change they made, not this patch, but the previous patch that everyone is unhappy with. That kind of just doesn't make any sense. That they still have not addressed. So
wait, which one?
People are waiting on that. So Nature's Grace. It's a haste buff you get when Eclipse ends. So the way it worked all expansion until 10.15 was when you end an Eclipse, you get 15% haste, but entering Pulsar or activating Incarn counted as ending your previous Eclipse, like regardless of where you were at. So you got the haste bonus, and they took that away. So you only get the haste bonus when you are not in any Eclipse state. So you just get it way less often. And it created a weird like playstyle where because it's so powerful, it was actually beneficial to cap your astral power and wait for your Eclipse to start or to end so that you could get the haste bonus before activating your Pulsar.
Oh, that's very dense.
Yes.
Oh, I spelt it wrong. Fuck me. There we go. All right, cool. So put it at the bottom of good. Hopefully that gets fixed. And hopefully, I guess it was also weird because last raid was like the first time where it was like, oh, we're just not going to bring a Moonkin to the raid. And that's just never happened before. But probably not going to happen. Maybe we'll have it again. I don't know. Like, the raid spots are limited, but also Innervate is, like, maybe more important than ever. I feel like if you're a Moonkin in general in this game, you're feeling pretty good right now. Like, you're definitely always slated to be a solid Mythic Plus class. You know, you're always going to have value in raid. And there are other classes that would, like, do anything for a crumb of that. So, all good.
Yeah, well, Moonkin would do anything for a crumb of being able to live. That's probably the biggest issue, but...
True. I love how that's like the copium too, is people just be like, what do you mean they can't live? They can go bear form. It's like, dude, imagine any other class telling them that. And I would just love to see how normal it would have to be for other people to just like go and turn into a dog and just stop doing damage and just be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm just running around, can't die. For sure.
Yeah, it's weird because when you look at Season 1 and you look at keys in general, the damage profile there is completely different to Raid. Like, there's not a lot of rot. It's just big hits that you need to live. So, like, having an infinite, like, stam boost in bear form was actually really sick.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to living rot in raids, you're just like, help me.
Oh yeah,
Give me
Moonkin.
your beacon.
Yeah, Moonkin is. Yeah, actually, Moonkins do get. I think Moonkin the squishiest class in raid, or is it Shaman? I think it's probably fight dependent. But I bet if you consider the fact that Shamans have Onk and Druids don't, it probably is Druid. Hunter's way more tanky than Druid now, so it probably would be.
Yeah, I mean,
Druid.
you could always go look at the death statistics for the raid, and Moonkin is right there at the top.
Actually, I haven't. I'm gonna do that actually. I haven't looked for this.
It's devastation for some reason, and
yeah,
then
that is ridiculous. The fact that devastation is near the top is so funny. All right, the deaths. Oh, still okay. That is actually insane that BM is that high. That actually just means that like sometimes civilian players are like attracted to what you would assume easy classes are, and they ramp up the death statistics. Like, how on earth can MM Hunter have a lower death percentage than BM? BM is just objectively more tanky than them. That's crazy. Maybe the devastation thing is because they have they have like an animation ability, Deep Breath, that like if you're not paying attention can like own you maybe. But like Devastation is fucking goated defensively. All right, thanks for the Moonkin thing. All right,
Later.
so yep. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Guy. So your class is finally getting the rework that was foretold.
Yeah, no, man, it feels pretty good.
But yeah, okay, so it does feel good. I was gonna ask before getting into any specific spec, do you feel like it was a overall high quality look, or do you think that they're still missing a few things? It seems like you guys got a ton of shit.
So basically, every single problem that like me and other people of the community have been complaining about has basically just been straight up fixed. So.
All right. Well, I mean, that's about as good as you could imagine. Now, I'm not gonna get into like all of this, and
I really don't want to spend 3.5 hours going about like, whoa, Shiv does 20% more damage, and like all the implications of that. But like, pretty much like the do you want kind of like the cliff notes, I guess, of like the bulk of the changes?
I would love. Yeah, we're gonna do a deep dive into Rogue at a later date. But I would love cliff notes on each spec in general, and then in order. I'm sure some of the class tree stuff has affected the stuff. So just start with Assassination. I know Assassination.
Did you want a link to the talent trees because they're on Wowhead now?
I can pull them up on a second thing here. That would be smart.
Just because like it's hard to articulate how how different it is, because it's like a totally different tree now.
Yeah. Can you just link me the stuff?
Yeah, I got you. And then from here you can go to the different specs from there.
Cool. All right, so let's start with Assassination. I know before the expansion, or coming into the expansion, they tried to give them like an AoE toolkit, like very clearly. Like they were like giving them this like mass bleed stuff, and you could get, or what was it, agility from it. And it just seemed like it's like, okay, they're finally trying to make Assassination not just like a 2 to 3 target cleave spec, and it actually has some value. And it just didn't really turn out that way. Like, I hope that's better. I know they made it so it looks like you won't spam Crimson Tempest or use it on single target, both things that like kind of feel like shit. So I don't know. What's your take on the Assassination in general?
So like obviously I'm more well versed in subtlety and outlaw, but I've asked a few of the Assassination people. I've been talking with them, briefly about like how they feel about the tree. So basically the probably like the biggest change is Indiscriminate Carnage now just works from stealth. It's no longer an active. Like before it was like an active and then it spread all your stuff out, and now it's just instantaneous, like from stealth. It's basically kind of like almost like Shrouded Suffocation from BFA, but like better.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it just it simplifies the AoE from being like really dumb, and like it just does it for you basically, right? From there, Kingsbane's really good. The 2 new capstones, or I guess 3 if you want to count, like Sun Demise, Indiscriminate Carnage, and I don't even know how to pronounce that. Arterial.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. The other big focus that a lot of Assassination Rogue players have is Exsanguinate. It's a pretty divisive talent, so people are still 50-50 on that. They made it so Poison Bomb's range, they made it a lot larger, so especially in AoE it doesn't miss. Which depending on like movement and packs, that was somewhat of a problem. Pretty much like the biggest problem from what I've heard from Assassination is that the button bloat might become a problem now, where it's like now you have Kingsbane, Crimson Tempest, Serrated Bone Spike, you got Shiv and like all your normal stuff that you already have.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And you didn't grab all that stuff before because you were limited on points, but now that they've opened the tree up, it's like, okay, well now we just have a ton of buttons.
Yeah, that's kind of an issue that Outlaw has as well, to a less extent, because the builds that go all the buttons I don't think look as good. But yeah, there's definitely like a button bloat issue with Assassination right now, but Reels he's really good at talking with the community about like issues that we have, so hopefully some of those button bloat issues get addressed in a few patches.
He's a brave man. I actually have so much respect.
Oh man, I respect him.
Yeah, I respect, because like how like WoW and gamers in general and class communities are, where like they'll communicate with you and they expect that, and then you talk with them, which is like, you don't have to do that. But then the second any dev makes one mistake, they're going to come after you forever. And like putting yourself at risk for that just to communicate with people is a lot. So definitely giga respect for sure.
Dude, that's like the thing that always blows me away is like I'll read like a passing comment from a developer, and then people will like screenshot it, blow it up, tweet it 500 times. It's just like, dude, holy, I could never have that job. That's insane.
Absolutely the truth. Yeah.
Do you want to quickly go over the class tree as well?
Just the class tree changes in general? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So basically, similarly, a big problem that a lot of people had with the class tree was limited options and utility. For Outlaw, you couldn't go with the current best single target build. You don't go grappling hook. You're forced to go shadow step. Basically, like you have a 2-minute sprint. It doesn't really feel that great. Like a lot of passive mobility is kind of missing. A lot of durability is kind of missing. So basically, the left side of the class tree has been kind of redesigned where now you can kind of path everywhere you want. You can kind of get almost every single talent. You can kind of pick and choose some niche utility, which is, kind of the whole
Oh,
point
wow.
of the talent,
Okay.
right?
If you can pick and choose niche utility, that's all you need to say. If anyone on their class tree is saying we can pick and choose niche utility, you already know that class tree owns, because it means they don't have to take any awful decisions about like taking stuff they really want. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still like a bit of an opportunity cost. Mainly the big utility one that a lot of people are still pretty upset about is Acrobatic Strikes. It's right in the middle of the bottom row, right above Echoing Reprimand. Some people want that a little bit higher just because of how strong it is and how good the quality of life is, but it's hard to say about this talent. But that's like the only issue I think people have with the class tree right now.
Okay, so class tree majorly better, and then the one tree that had the most 3-point nodes had them all obliterated, right?
Yeah, no, they're all gone now.
Okay, sorry,
I think obviously numbers are totally up in the air, but I feel like Assassination is going to be really well positioned. I feel like they might they might overdo it because it's been so terrible for so long, but I'm kind of excited.
All right. Okay. So now class tree and assassination included. Would probably, before moving on to another one, how do you feel about the assassination tier bonus?
It's really bad. It's really, really bad. It needs like large numbers increases, and it's boring.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing this. It's like they also nerfed Envenom's duration, so like the 4-piece is like harder to do. So yeah, and then also when you're in AoE, I guess the idea is that Envenom is going to be something you want to press as an AoE finisher, since you're not going to be spamming Crimson Tempest, which is fine. But in single target, is it going to do enough damage to be like a worthy force? Like, I don't know, probably not. So
right now, with current numbers, doesn't look like it. But it's first patch, so I'm not I'm not gonna cry about it yet. I'll wait until a week before patch.
Okay, so you have the spec as in general, really good changes. Class tree and whatever wise, but the tier sucks. So does that drop it down a level?
Are you talking about like where it places on like the tier list that you have set up?
Yeah.
I would say all of the rogue specs should be in the highest position, like straight up.
Okay, I'll just.
I'm like really excited about all of the rogue stuff that we have so far.
Okay, so then start talking to me about Outlaw then. Seems like that's one that you're a big fan of.
Yeah, so basically the focus that they did was they made a new. Well, first of all, obviously the tree is much wider now. Like you get to just pick more stuff more easily. Similar. That's like the theme with all of the trees. Basically, is that everything is significantly easier to grab. And what that means is now you can go hit an opportunity, fan the hammer, and another capstone as well. Which before you were kind of limited to either 1 or 2. Now you can get 3 and 4 potentially, just depending on how you end up pathing. The other bigger change is Killing Spree was changed from a 2-minute cooldown that kind of sucked to now it's a 1.5-minute finisher that also has a cooldown. And then kind of an issue that Killing Spree has is that you lose control of your character, kind of like a Whirling Dragon Punch. But it happens over the course of 2 seconds. So they added a DR to it originally, but now it's changed where all of the damage you take during it is then turned into a degen over 8 seconds, which is I'm not sure if you can abuse that, but that's like a really powerful defensive layer.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I know the first thing that I thought was really interesting when I saw Outlaw is the second line after the dev note is these 4 things are all baseline. So just straight up from this thing, you just gain 4 points regardless of everything else losing its spot. You just straight up, just all the stuff that should be baseline is baseline, and like you can.
Yeah. Now, originally, if you it's in the top half of the top third of the tree, the choice node on the left side, the float like a butterfly. That's just like pretty easy to get now. So feint. Potentially, you can have with the other talent on the class tree that gives you feint 2 charges.
Yeah.
Potentially, if you want to throw away all of your energy, you can literally have 100% uptime of feint in an encounter, which is it's very strong.
Well, it's very strong, but it's also kind of necessary because it has a massive opportunity cost of having to use that much energy. So it's not like other classes where like, okay, let's say rogues are invincible. Okay, well, they have to do like very little damage to do that. I think that's needed. Rogues actually, interestingly enough, have become a little squishy, and people don't understand like that they have 100%. Cheat death, but on certain fights with like rot damage, rogues are actually perma in danger. So having the ability to have that is actually a good choice if it doesn't feel too far. And yeah, like you were saying, I'm a little not worried. I think it's cool, but the whole like killing spree being able to turbo cheese mechanics potentially.
Oh, it is. Well, the other thing that you can do with it is that it all of the damage you take is also converted to magic damage, and that magic debuff can be then cloaked off. So you can get very degenerate with this. You know, like if you take a, you know, you have 500k life, you take a, you know, a 2 million hit during killing spree. That 2 million is then, you know, distributed over 8 seconds, and then you just cloak it off, and then you take 0 damage over instead of taking, you know, a 2 million hit. It honestly, it's kind of dumb. I like this kind of like preventative measure for not being punished for using killing spree, because that is kind of a problem with the talent. It might be a little bit too strong though.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, you being able to cloak off the thing only means that you can basically use cloak to immune physical things now. That's like the main thing, because most things that you would take magic damage from an area, you would just cloak the application and not even need to do that. Not to mention that you're not going to be doing this all the time. Like, I know people have been nutting about this. This is something where like you might do this on one boss in the next 2 tiers, but it'll be like super fucking cool that you can do it. Yeah, so just the idea that it's there is really good, and it also basically means you'll never die in killing spree again just by using it natty. So that's a nice. Any other thoughts about like the playstyle stuff?
So right now, like there's not too much different playstyle wise. Like the 2 pillars of rotation that the spec has is the hidden opportunity build, which is focused on ambush and generators, and then there is the more finisher focused one with keep it rolling, surmisely dispatched. But now like it's going to be a little bit more blended. It's hard to say how it's going to look, honestly, but it should work and it should be fun, because I can't imagine it not being.
Yeah. Is the roll the bones thing going to be relevant at all? The one where you keep the roll the bones stuff? Is that the tier set? I think it is.
One where it's
yes, it is.
Whenever
it
falls off, it refreshes.
Yeah.
It's like super buggy right now, so I have no idea what it's intended to do, but it looks pretty tight. It would work with count the odds, right? It would be pretty strong.
Are you happy with the 2 set as well?
Yeah, so it used to be a talent, right? That used to be a talent at the top of the tree where it would give you 5%. So it's basically 3 times as strong as the old passive, which, you know, it's good. It makes hidden opportunity way stronger, so it's my preferred build. So
yeah, okay.
And then if you want to just highlight like one other interesting talent, it's a passive. It's on the bottom left choice node. It's called upper hand. Basically, it just means like whenever you have buffs, your other buffs stay online. It's pretty. I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a fun talent.
Oh yeah, it solves a few rotational problems too. Does not lose duration. Oh, so I mean, yeah, you'll just do less refreshing, and it's only relevant when you're actually in combat and doing things. I like that.
No, because so say if you're at the end of a pack in Mythic Plus and you know pop Adrenaline Rush because you know cooldown's on cooldown.
Oh.
You can then stealth, and then that Adrenaline Rush will then carry over to the next pack.
Oh, that's super sick.
And then
I didn't read the
because
third
the Adrenaline Rush is carrying over, the Blade Rush carries over, and because the Blade Rush carries over, the Slice and Dice carries over.
Yeah, the Blade Flurry. Yeah, that is very sick.
It's sick, right?
Yeah, that's a very cool very cool thing. I wonder.
And then the other,
they're gonna hopefully. So does Adrenaline Rush get cleared on raid combat start?
So currently no, which I know what you're thinking, where you're gonna use it 3 minutes before pull. You technically can, and I feel like if people start abusing it, they'll make it so it doesn't do that anymore. But Adrenaline Rush is a pretty low impact cooldown, so I feel like there's not much to abuse there. But I mean, it's free damage, right?
Yeah, free damage is free damage, but not enough damage to make you wait 3 minutes every pull. But yeah,
I'm not gonna tell my raid leader to do a 3 minute pull timer kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's something you can do before a break. So after, Outlaw Rogue pulls after breaks are over are going to be fat as fuck. They're going to be real big.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, and you already mentioned the rating. You're like, okay, all these rogue specs fucking own. Do you want to move on to sub if you feel like you covered Outlaw generally?
Yeah, I would just say like it's more of the same, but the same was good. It was just like the problem that Outlaw had was like bad talent tree, which all the rogue specs had, and then just like damage was bad. So I mean, I'm not really concerned about damage right now because it's borderline random what spec ends up being the best, but the design and the fundamental principles of the class tree look really good.
And then subtlety, which has been going through definitely like a resurgence this expansion in a lot of different ways. So how do you feel about this spec?
So I currently like how it plays right now, even though it's pretty focused on Gloomblade, which, you know, some people don't like. It's a very scripted rotation right now. Like there's very little procs. Every single fight plays the same, which, you know, if you like that, you know, it does that, but if you don't, you're not going to. Yeah. I think one talent I want to highlight before I forget, like before I get into anything, is where's this talent? Oh, it's the I think like some people, if you're on Twitter a lot, you've probably seen it. The stunning secret. It's on the far right of the first third.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. This talent is beyond broken. It is a Legion CC ability. Like it is beyond broken, and it needs to get nerfed.
So yeah, what this is it's a kidney shot. is on twice as long of a cooldown, costs twice as much energy, which is whatever. But then I believe it's an uncapped AoE kidney shot. Is that correct?
Yes. So it is a 40-second cooldown, 6-second AoE stun.
9-second stun with Evoker.
Yep, and you can Evoker it for 9 seconds. So yeah, this thing is too good. I just want to highlight that. Everybody's gonna hate me for saying it needs to get nerfed, but
no, anyone who's hating you for saying that is just too stupid to realize that it would get nerfed anyway. Yeah, because like a class having a really long cooldown stun in PvE that's that long would definitely be strong, but it's gonna get nerfed for non-PvE related reasons almost certainly. So.
Oh yeah, and like even its PvP application, right? Like you just start playing like sub rogue cleave, and you just double kidney people for 6 seconds. Like it's a nonsense talent, right?
Yeah. Okay. So that's fucking crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing, right? Yeah. The sub tree, similar like the outlaw tree, I feel is kind of similar, but it's also improvement on the kind of core principles. Overall, the one of the big talents that a lot of people are excited for is the bottom talent in the middle left, okay? Shadowcraft, do you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that old talent from Legion. I think it was Anticipation or Adaptability, where basically when you overcap combo points, you store them, and then when you use the finisher, you get them back.
Oh,
and like
that's
Sub-Rogue
sick.
overcaps a lot of combo points right now, so it's like a pretty nice way to not feel as punished for overcapping lots of combo points.
Okay.
In general, with a lot of the current builds that people have been testing, it's a bit slower. So rather than, I think it's like 60 APM right now. It's probably closer to like maybe 45, 50. Your cooldowns are a lot more impactful. Shadow Blades now is like Dread Blades, where it just gives you full combo points rather than +1. And I think the shadow damage is lower. Either way, it's a stronger cooldown now. And just like Dance and Symbols in general are just stronger individual cooldowns.
Okay. Oh, dude, Shadow Blades before was combo point generating abilities were doing
Yes.
that's that. I like it way better like this. Yeah. It's 20% damage instead of 50, yeah, but it includes finishers though, right? So it's big. I like that.
It's a better cooldown and it's burstier, which I feel like that makes sense for the the micro CD burst class, right? I think that's kind of like it, honestly, for like Summer. I'm not like I haven't like this is the tree that I've looked at the least, so sorry, but like the main things is like the new capstone's pretty cool. There's more focus on cooldowns, and then just like through pathing that you want to do already, you get a lot of passive HPS, like somewhere around like 10k HPS, which is nice to not die to rot damage.
Wait, did you say 10k?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, 10K,
That's actually pretty decent. Yeah, I feel like that's
degen, yeah. Right?
That's actually kind of what you need. I feel like rogues are always fine against big giant hits, but passive damage, HPS is only effective against passive damage, and that's your biggest defensive weakness. So I feel like that actually fits in really well. All right, hell yeah. What's the tier look like for sub?
People like it thematically, but numerically, it's probably pretty bad. That's pretty much it.
Okay, Shadow Clone echoes your finishing move. They do 10% damage with all attacks. Wait, so do they persist after doing the finishing move?
Not sure.
Okay, I haven't really tested it. Yeah, so I mean thematically it's sick. If you're just spawning Shadow Clones, that's fucking dope. But
like like kind of like the weirdness is like the what's it called? The combo points that you get, it makes like the gameplay like a little awkward sometimes. That's kind of like the issue that people are having.
All right, cool. All right, that is I think that's about it. Do you have any other thoughts about Rogue that like the very general things you want to get into? We're gonna obviously dive deeper another day, but
yeah. I mean, I could help out with that if you need. But
sure.
Pretty much just like cliff notes is like the tree feels better on every single spec. You have more options and diversity. You're no longer strapped for utility, and a lot of the stuff that was already fun before looks more fun now. So I mean, it's pretty much like just a direct upgrade in almost every single way.
Yep, seems like it's continuing the trend of Blizzard reworking things and making a lot of very good decisions, and also probably inadvertently making them extremely fucking good. So,
Listen, okay.
Yeah.
I have no comment on the strength of this rework. Okay, it might be as good as Augmentation Evoker. Okay, imagine that.
Yeah, and I would also give it time. Like, there's a reason I'm not doing that deep dive thing now. I think it's really important that there's like a week or two of raid testing, and also like a full weekend or two of Mythic Plus for people to actually play them in real content and then like have takes. I think that is the best value for that. So it'll be a while from now.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how true this is, but I saw some people talking within the Discord that something might be happening to Mark for Death because it doesn't look that good, the rework to it. So it might get either redesigned again or it might get scrapped again. I'm not sure what's gonna happen to Mark for Death.
All right. Thanks for the call, man.
No problem. Can I ask you a quick question though?
What's up?
Can I get your thoughts on?
And then he just left.